On display. It is front and center today in front of a capacity crowd here on the Plains as Auburn opens up their home slate against the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. As you are watching SEC Network Football presented by Allstate. Over 87,000 fans here to root on the Auburn Tigers. Dave Neal alongside my All-American offensive lineman from the University of Georgia, Matt Stinchcomb. So glad you could join us this afternoon. And certainly Auburn gets off to a great start. They play the Louisville Cardinals, a very good football team in the Georgia Dome. Got off to a great start in that game. Second half, not so much, but nonetheless a good win. Where does Auburn go from here if they want to play for a national championship?
Well, there are strides that are needed to be made on both sides of the football, and you can start offensively with the quarterback play from Jeremy Johnson. Keeping in mind only his sixth start going into this game, the numbers weren't what anyone anticipated, but the most alarming perhaps was the 3 interceptions. The yardage output, that will come. The idea is to play within the offensive structure. He was definitely pressing in this game in the vertical passing routes. And in Will Muschamp, it couldn't have started better for him the first 2 quarters. The defense over the span of the game, creating opportunities for offense, generating their own scores. But in the second half, a distinct fall off. Yardage started to leak, and especially on the ground in perimeter defense, some things to tighten up that Coach Muschamp will be looking for.
A little pooch kick that will go out of bounds, so Auburn will have good field position to start this one. Third member of our team, Dawn Davenport, and certainly Dawn after a tough opening week, some injuries for the Auburn Tigers.
Yeah, Dave, we're certainly seeing the effects of a physical game against Louisville in today's lineup, especially defensively for Auburn. They're going to go without starting safety Trey Matthews and starting defensive end Carl Lawson today. I saw Carl Lawson come out for warm-ups on crutches, still battling that hip flexor. It's giving him a fit. Now, offensively, this is a little bit of a surprise. Right tackle Avery Young is out with a lingering ankle issue. And on the other side of the ball, Jacksonville State will go without starting defensive tackle Devontae Sigler. Now, guys, he is a former Auburn Tiger, transferred to Jacksonville State, so he's a little disappointed in missing this one.
Absolutely. He was Defensive Player of the Year in the Ohio Valley Conference. They will miss him today, the senior out of Mobile. But Auburn, let's take a look at Jeremy Johnson. So much talked about him this week. You heard the guys on SEC Nation breaking it down moments ago, and they try to get him going early. He swings it out to Ricardo Lewis for a gain of 7. So Jeremy Johnson with a good start on his opening pass.
Yeah, good idea, especially after all the conjecture this whole week. Feinbaum mentions it's overstated, and it was. Get him a completion early. Nice play call to open the game.
Throw it again on 2nd and 3. Lewis to midfield. Spins out of trouble. First down Auburn into Jacksonville State territory. A gain of 11. You look at our starting lineups. Peyton Barber gets the start at tailback. What a performance he had when they needed it most last week.
He certainly earned it. 24 carries in the game when he was expected to just get spot duty. Peyton Barber may have emerged as maybe the preeminent back in the offense this year.
And there he goes. Barber to the 40 and tripped up. Dropped at the 39. Jalen Hill, the junior out of Marietta, on the tackle for the Gamecocks. Gain of 7.
The other guy in that lineup that we would have mentioned is Sean Coleman, the big left tackle. We mentioned the offensive lineup a little bit different in this game. Nice block that time to spring Peyton Barber out on the outside. You're going to run the football. You're going to need a bunch of backs, but so far Barber this season really asserting himself well.
Second down. Call it 2.5 for the Tigers. Boy, Barber hitting the backfield for a loss of 3. Darius Jackson comes flying in untouched for a loss of 2.
A full house backfield that time with both Cameron Petway and Chandler Cox in the backfield. Devontae Danzy pulling from his right guard position and just whiffs on Darius Jackson. Number 40, they like his playmaking ability. He's got great burst. They want him to play better in the run game. How about a tackle for loss? Great job by Jackson getting into the Tiger backfield.
Last week, Auburn, 4 out of 10 on third down conversions. They're looking at a 3rd and 5. Johnson, quick throw, had a man wide open. Just couldn't connect as Barber was coming out of the backfield. That would have been a big hitter, possibly 6 on the board, but instead a punting situation.
Once again, Danzy crossing the formation. It was a little bluff on the initial when he's coming across, and you can see Jeremy Johnson, he had a little bit of pressure right there at his feet, which was an issue in the opener versus Louisville. 2 of those interceptions where he did not handle pressure very well that time, incapable of stepping into the throw.
Kevin Phillips will punt it away. Barge back to return. He calls for a fair catch, and he will make it at the 9-yard line. So Jacksonville State backed up after a 33-yard pooch punt. The Gamecocks of Jacksonville State, good win on the road, knocking off a top 10 opponent, Tennessee Chattanooga, last week. They are in the top 10 themselves this week in the FCS standings. Eli Jenkins, their quarterback, Josh Barge, an excellent receiver on the outside. These 2 guys are going to be dangerous for a lot of people this 2015 campaign.
Expecting a lot out of Eli Jenkins. John Gross, the Ohio Valley Coach of the Year, won the conference a season ago at Jacksonville State. Wants to put even more responsibility on his quarterback. He should be veteran now after 3 seasons in this system.
How good is this offense? Last year they had 8 games over 600 yards in total. First pass comes near side. Ruben Gonzalez makes the catch. He's out to the 21-yard line. A gain of 12 and a first down. Here's a look at that Auburn defense. Dontavius Russell, Justin Garrett, 2 guys to keep an eye on. Obviously, we talked about it early. No Trey Matthews, no Carl Lawson today.
Big Justin Garrett at that linebacking position took a fumble back to the house for a touchdown in the opener. Was the most productive linebacker last week in the opening game versus Louisville.
Will they rule that a completion? They will say yes at the 27-yard line. 4 yards on the catch.
Josh Barge is a guy that we'll expect to see a lot of targets, and he did get his arms underneath it. Great call by the official. Excellent job by Barge getting that reception.
So second down and 5 now for the Gamecocks. They'll fake the run, come near side. Out over the 30 to the 32 is Josh Barge, who had 8 catches last week, 123 now in his career, picks up 6, and that should be good enough for the first down. They will move the chains.
Great job. High percentage passes early, but a good job by Barge getting upfield. Jonathan Jones out there, a sure tackle in open field, but obviously yardage needed to gain and conversion to get the first early.
Inside handoff. Tromaine Pope out to the 45-yard line. Put it at the 46. That's a 14-yard pickup.
You see the Auburn defense, they had 2 wide 3 techniques. Montravius Adams, Dontavius Russell, both outside the guards. And it's the linebacker's responsibility to maintain that A-gap integrity, the gaps on either side of the center. But that time, Pope able to get upfield early.
Jenkins rolling to the right. Throws back. Knocked down at the 45 of Auburn. It'll be second down and 10. Looking for Dalton Screws, the receiver out of Anniston, Alabama. Nick Ruffin on coverage, and an Auburn Tiger, Josh Holsey, holding that left knee area.
You can see Holsey, he's already got a brace on the knee, heavily wrapped. They just got him back. Coach Muschamp was excited to see him in the lineup. He may not be out there for long.
Scoreless was a Auburn defensive coordinator, 2006 and 7, then took off for Texas, where he did a great job winning a national championship for the Longhorns. Had a nice run at Florida. Not nice enough, though, as he was let go. And, you know, I think a lot of people, it's one of those situations for him where a lot of people didn't want to see him go. I mean, it wasn't a work ethic thing. He got along with everybody. It's just a wins and losses, and he understood that. And Auburn family glad to have him back. Eli Jenkins will throw it away. I mean, hey, you get paid the kind of money these guys get paid now, you got to win ball games.
You got to produce. You got to produce. But I do know this: when Will Muschamp was at Florida, it wasn't because of the defense.
Right.
I mean, it really was. It was a lopsided issue in Gainesville. Those excellent defenses that have always been fielded when Will Muschamp has been coordinating their alignments, and they expect similar production in his second stint here at Auburn.
On third down and 10, quick hitter over the middle. That's going to be real close to the first down. I think it'll be good enough by about a half a yard. Ruben Gonzalez, the senior out of Tampa, makes another big catch, and there are the chains being pushed into Auburn territory.
This is a nice drive by Jacksonville State. Now 4 first downs, and their opening possession, moving the football right down the field. And to me, Eli Jenkins, He's looked on the mark when he hadn't been pressured.
Hey, this drive started back at the 9-yard line for Jacksonville State. High snap. They will hand it off to Pope. Pope's trying to scoot around the corner, picks up 3 or 4 extra yards. Pope had a huge game in their opener when he went for 173 yards on 15 carries, averaged over 11 per tote.
They were thrilled with his production in the opener. Really was. They have to run the football. They want to run the football. And in this game, one of the keys was to get it to even third and manageable. Jacksonville State faced a lot of third and longs versus UTC, but so far, moving the ball very effectively in this possession.
Empty backfield for Jenkins, the junior quarterback out of Birmingham, Alabama. 4-man rush. He lofted up near side. Pass is caught again by Gonzalez inside the red zone at the 13-yard line. That's 25 more yards. Jonathan Jones on the coverage.
Jonathan Jones has given up about 5 inches to Ruben Gonzalez, and clearly they like this matchup. They've gone to Gonzalez. I believe that's 3 targets now. Jonathan Jones, who is incapable of going up and climbing, that ball hung, and there was an opportunity for him to make that play, but Gonzalez, with his length, able to come down with the reception and get Jack State into the red zone.
Here goes Pope dancing around, nowhere to run. Might have lost a yard. Tim Irvin, the freshman out of Miami, coming up along with Casanova McKenzie, the linebacker. Now it's second down.
You'd anticipate it being very difficult for the Gamecocks to get anything going in the inside run game. Louisville had difficulty in the opener. The issues was in the perimeter run defense. We've seen now, though, Jacksonville State has been able to establish at least one nice inside run. Defense has to stiffen here in the red zone.
From the 14. Jenkins, he's dancing around. Nowhere to go again. He might have lost another yard, maybe 2. Casanova McKenzie, the first one there.
They like Casanova McKenzie. He gets up in there. They've got about 4 linebackers that they can play with. McKenzie, a stalwart defender from a season ago, and they're expecting more out of him. That time brought 5. This is a defensive front where you don't always have to borrow and blitz to get pressure, but a good job of getting into the offensive backfield and getting the tackle down.
Here comes some extra pressure by the Tigers, and it works. Jenkins dropped for a loss of 6, and who else but Casanova McKenzie?
We talk about amping up his production. How about back-to-back tackles for loss? One a sack this time, Casanova McKenzie. It ended up being a 6-man pressure. So you'll see McKenzie, he kind of green dogs. So you'll see as soon as the back protects, he's coming. So you see Tromaine Pope, who he just blew his helmet right off as he tried to come up in protection, and McKenzie would have dropped into coverage. The back stays in to protect, so he comes, ultimately gets the sack.
Connor Rouleau, 6 foot 226, and he misses the field goal.
Wow.
Was 3 for 3 last week, but the sophomore out of Swanee, Georgia, misses, and Auburn dodges one there.
Boy, did they. Now that can be really deflating. A nice drive by Jacksonville State. Move the ball all the way down the field. But back-to-back tackles for loss have stymied their momentum, and they come away with no points in the first meeting between Auburn and Jackson.
The gridiron. Auburn and Jacksonville State separated by just 108 miles. There are 90 players between these two rosters from the state of Alabama. 97 players from the state of Alabama between these two rosters. 60 on Jacksonville State, 37 for Auburn. Johnson, throw it to Davis. He'll pick up 11 yards. First down for the Tigers.
Number 80, Marcus Davis. Tackled by number 23, Brendan Benjamin.
There are so many connections between these two teams, and
First down from the 33.
30 different players either played high school or junior college with each other. So a lot of friendships on the line today, at least for the next 3.5 hours or so. Inside run goes to Peyton Barber. He'll pick up 3.
Yeah, from a personnel standpoint, even all the way to the coaching staffs. You look at Brandon Hall, has spent some time with Gus Malzahn is his safeties coach. He's the co-defensive coordinator for Jacksonville State. You tell Coach Malzahn wasn't thrilled with the fact that he's going to be familiar with it.
Here's Ricardo Lewis. Well, he had an exciting game in the opener. 33-yard touchdown reception. Also had a rushing touchdown. 3 catches in the game all told. And here's a guy that they're going to really count on to do a lot of things for them offensively.
And he can. I mean, he'll get rushes. He'll blow him through the backfield on the fly sweep. A former quarterback, a real heady player.
Helmet comes off as Peyton Barber gets another carry. Dawson Wells. His helmet came flying off as he led the charge, the senior out of Ocean Springs, Mississippi.
Number 1 playmaker for that Gamecock defense is Dawson Wells. Probably not the most talented guy on the field in this defense with a number of blowbacks, but already with 3 tackles in this game. And on this possession, so far, Gamecocks doing a great job of denying inside rush lanes. The front line, anyway, they've got some nice size for their level play.
Swinging out of the backfield. Our first look at Kerryon Johnson, the true freshman out of Madison, Alabama. You and I were talking after our meetings yesterday. There was no doubt that the coaches were excited to see this young man on the field today.
Yeah, disappointed that they didn't get him action last week. But already you can see he's a very natural receiver. The way he's described is a running back, wide receiver, hybrid type. A little bit reminiscent of the guy we saw in week 1 at Georgia, Sony Michel. He can do a lot of things in this offense.
Johnson back to the sidelines. Barber back in. He'll get the inside handoff, and 3rd and short will pick up the first down after an 8-yard pickup. Wells trips him up.
You know, on that one, Peyton Barber demonstrating what he was able to do last week. It was yards after contact. Great leg churn, ran right through the would-be tackle of Darius Jackson.
Here's Lewis. Trying to create on his own. Got a little bit of help from Duke Williams.
Pastor Ricardo Lewis.
That'll be a gain of 8, a couple of yards shy of the first down, which is right at the 26-yard line. What a methodical drive by the Tigers on their 2nd possession of the afternoon. 7 plays, 50 yards to this point. And there's the first down by Barber.
Nice surge that time by Auburn up front. Something to keep in mind as well is that we know that the tempo is going to be an issue, but it's kind of pervasive in college football. They're spooling up plays now, though, quickly.
Barber on the carry, brought down by Randy Robinson, a true freshman. Big body in that front of Jacksonville State. He goes 6'2", 330 pounds.
That's a big one. And Austin Golson, I know at center, he's made that move to center for Auburn. And he had a big one over his head all game long versus Louisville. That's a lot of girth to be carting around on these inside runs.
Here's Barber trying to get the edge near side. Falls forward close to the 15-yard line. That'll be a couple of yards shy of the first down. Give him 4 on that carry. Bolo Johnson comes up, the senior out of Dallas, Georgia. The safety spot to make the hit for the Gamecocks.
Gamecocks doing a pretty good job other than that one run that Barber was able to churn out versus the run offense of Auburn. And that's without Devontae Sigler, the Defensive Player of the Year for the Ohio Valley Conference last season, and a former Auburn defensive tackle.
Kerryon Johnson back in the game along with Barber. They will go inside handoff to Peyton Barber, and he gets it inside the 15, close to the 10. That'll be good enough for another Tiger first down, a gain of 5 on the play. And quick tempo again from Auburn.
I like the way Peyton Barber runs. I mean, there's not a whole lot of flash, but he picks up yards and finds ways to get north-south.
Not much happening there, only a yard. Boy, they are working Barber to death here on this opening drive. He now has 10 carries, 37 yards. He had 24, mostly in the second half in that opening game.
Well, he certainly demonstrated endurance. Maybe they're going to test it early in this one.
How about 8 carries on this drive alone?
Certainly a feature back. And we mentioned and asked with Devon Robinson and Rock Thomas ready. It doesn't seem to matter.
Little miscommunication, high throw from Johnson looking for Duke Williams. That's what he's... Johnson pointing over there to that left side. I think it might have been something to the corner.
Yeah, clearly Duke Williams and Jeremy Johnson at quarterback on different pages. Johnson immediately looked to the sideline and seemingly to explain what he was thinking, but Duke Williams, I don't know if he was supposed to run a corner or not. Either way, incompletion.
We'll try it again. Looking for Duke. No flags, incomplete on third down. Jalen Hill on the coverage.
That's what Jeremy Johnson was expecting the first time. You see Duke Williams trying to gain position, and he did it a little bit too early. I think he looked back for the ball earlier than Johnson anticipated. He was trying to get the ball deep and drive it to the back pylon. You could see Duke Williams was looking to box out early and just didn't get deep enough into the end zone.
27-yard field goal attempt from Daniel Carson. Hit his only one last week, a 56-yarder. This one from the near hash. Kick is on the way, and it is plenty good. They go 12-1, 11-0 on Saturday. 4 wins over Power 5 teams, and because of that, a record 10 teams in the AP Top 25. How about Florida? They've gone with Will Greer as their starting quarterback. Youngster out of Charlotte, North Carolina, taking on East Carolina. They took on the Pirates in their bowl game last year. Exciting game in Birmingham. Happened to be there for that one. Jim McElwain got off to a great start in his opener. Gators look very good, very well coached, and a lot of teams kind of stumbled and bumbled around in week 1. I don't think the Gators look like that.
No, in fact, they liked what they saw to both quarterbacks. I think they're just kicking tires to see who they like better as a starter in week 2.
Kick sails out of the end zone, out to the 25. If you had to go week 1, most impressive team in week 1 for you?
It's hard to look past what Texas A&M did versus Arizona State, a ranked football team. But the one that surprised me, and maybe I just had a false sense of the holes they had to fill, was Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, that defense, it looked really stout, and offensively, I think they got what they wanted out of the quarterback position in Jake Coker. Wisconsin will be interesting to see how good of a team they end up being first year, Paul Chryst. But those two teams out of the West look pretty strong in week 1.
Well, big question marks surrounding LSU right now. Nobody knows what to make of them. But they will be tested tonight against Mississippi State. Here's Eli Jenkins. Nice throw to the wide side of the field. Let's see where they spot forward progress. That's Barge again. They will put it at the 33-yard line. So gain of 7.5, maybe 8.
John Gross is not crazy. He realizes they're overmatched inside. Montravius Adams, a great burst upfield and got penetration. But if you're moving the pocket, you've got an athlete enough at quarterback in Eli Jenkins. It makes sense to get him out on the edge and give him room to throw the football.
Here's Jenkins. Dodges one Auburn defender. Can't get past the second one. Devontae Lambert, Chris Frost. Frost first one there. No gain on the play. Listen, when you look at Eli Jenkins, here's a guy last year that was first team All Ohio Valley Conference. He has got the size, 6'2", 205, to run this spread attack, if you will. They don't ask him to run a ton, but he's definitely a part of their rushing attack.
Well, we could see, obviously, the quarterback run game in week 1, not something that Louisville is known for, but the Cardinals certainly had some success. Eli Jenkins, even more familiar with that philosophy.
Inside handoff. They needed a yard. Let's see where the spot is. They may have enough. Linesman on the far side has it spotted at the 35-yard line. Russell and Lambert combined for that tackle, but that is good enough for the first down.
When Pope was really tentative, or Jones rather, coming into the line of scrimmage, surprised that he was able to get the yardage needed. When it's third and short like that, as a running back, you want him decisive and slam up into the hole. Very hesitant, but still able to get the conversion.
Miles Jones in at running back to the left of Jenkins. Jenkins to throw. Ruben Gonzalez. Boy, he is making a name for himself today here at Jordan-Hare Stadium. That's a gain of 8, and yet another catch. That is 4 catches, 57 yards for Gonzalez.
Picking on Jonathan Jones again. We saw that in the first possession. They like what they're seeing over there. They went double tight ends, guaranteed man coverage. And Jonathan Jones gets another completion in front of him.
Second down and relatively short. Call it 2. Quick throw, far side. There goes Gonzalez again. Close to the first down. See where that spot is. That may be good enough for the first down. I mean, it looks like it's right on the line. Yep, they're moving the chains. First down and 10 for the Gamecocks.
Well, in talking with the Jacksonville State coaches and what they were expecting out of Eli Jenkins, you can see why it is that they have such high expectations. And so far in this game, it's not like this stage is too big for him. They've never played Auburn before, but he's operated the offense very effectively.
Here's Jenkins. Stays on his feet somehow, keeps it alive. Turns the corner and run out of bounds at the 46-yard line. Got back to the original line of scrimmage. That could have been a bad play for the Gamecocks, turned into a decent one.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about how if you move the pocket around, it's easier to get away from pressure, but if you're bringing edge pressure to the direction that you're going to roll out to, and this time it was Tim Irvin coming up, true freshman, plays a lot in their nickel packages for Auburn, that time incapable of getting Eli Jenkins down. That's one of the few times when it backfires on you as a play caller, when you're moving the pocket and you roll your quarterback right into edge pressure.
Tell you what, pretty even first quarter. Jack State missed a field goal. Auburn connected on theirs. That's the difference. 15 minutes are in the books. ESPN.com, and you can watch so much football, so much basketball, international basketball, baseball. I mean, it's...
Pick a sport, man. You see it all. I saw hacky sack on there.
Second down for the Gamecocks. Miles Jones trying to get to midfield, does so. He'll be about 5 yards shy of the first down marker. Chris Frost, Jonathan Jones combined for the tackle for the Tigers. Now, one other running back we should see today is Josh Clemens. And if that name sounds familiar to you, it's because he played at Kentucky for a few years. Always bothered by nagging injuries, but he's an explosive running back. The senior out of Fayetteville, Georgia, should see some work today. Jenkins going up top. Has a man bumped and caught by Josh Barge. Right at the 20-yard line.
How about this quarterback for Jacksonville State? I mean, this guy's having a game. It's not just Ruben Gonzalez spreading it around Josh Barge, his favorite target. And you see Blake Countess just didn't get his head around. That's a veteran player. He spent most of his college career at Michigan, and they're counting on him. Defensively, Will Muschamp likes him a lot. Great completion downfield.
Beat a two-time All-Big Ten player on that near sideline. First down and 10, Jacksonville State at the 20-yard line. Jenkins will throw it again. Underneath to the 15, picks up 5 to Barge. Barge and Gonzalez have just been the men catching the football today. They have combined for 10 receptions so far.
And in the first possession, Jacksonville State goes right down the football field, throwing the football largely, but it was in the red zone where back-to-back tackles for loss by Auburn from their defensive front. It stymied that drive. This is where Auburn defensively has to find a way to get some stop in a negative yardage play.
Right through the hands, high throw. Gonzalez couldn't bring it in. It'll be third down and 5. First drive by Jacksonville State went 13 plays, 69 yards. They missed a field goal. This drive now is 10 plays, 60 yards.
They put together 2 really nice drives. Moving the ball, I don't want to say with ease, but certainly with efficiency versus the Auburn defense. John Gross got to be thrilled with the play that he's getting. Offensively, their line, they think this is the best one they've had in his 3 years at Jacksonville State. And right now, doing a pretty good job.
3 out of 4 on third down conversions this afternoon. Jenkins going to the corner. Pass is caught. Incomplete, out of bounds. Gonzalez thought he had the catch. And now it's fourth down and 5.
There's a well-placed ball right here. And Gonzalez, that left foot, we're talking inches. Great hands so far. That's the 6th target of Ruben Gonzalez. He's come up with all 6. This time doesn't count as a completion. You see there the foot right on the line and out of bounds. So that one does not count. But again, back-to-back quote-unquote incompletions to set up a field goal attempt.
32-yarder. Missed his first one from 39. This one, snap is good, hold is good, and the kick is perfect. So Jacksonville State has tied it up in the second quarter with the 6th-ranked Auburn Tigers. The big play scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kick. Since 2005, All-State has donated millions in scholarship funds. Well, the field goal nets have been at work twice today already. Auburn and Jacksonville State have exchanged field goals. And Jacksonville State's offense has been very efficient. Eli Jenkins at quarterback to start this game is 10 out of 14, 112 yards. All of those receptions, or 10 of those, all 10 completions to receivers Barge and Gonzalez. Rulo kicks it about 6 yards deep to Jonathan Ford, and that'll be a touchback. Well, if you're wondering about Jacksonville State, obviously a team last year that lost in the quarterfinals of the FCS playoffs, kind of an upset losing that early, but this is a team that has found a way to get some FBS players on their roster, guys that started at some of the big boy programs, if you will, 13 of them. Matter of fact, a couple of guys on this team from Auburn, one from Alabama, one from Tennessee. 8 total former SEC players on this roster for John Gross. And as he said, it's not, they recruit good players that they build their program around, but at their level, if you can get 4, 5, 6 of these guys to come in and help you, it's a difference maker.
No question. I mean, one of those difference makers that we won't see today, and Devontae Sigler, Defensive Player of the Year. These guys that come back and play at this level can dominate.
Rock Thomas, his first action today. Rock had 27 yards rushing in that opening game before he left with an injury. The sophomore out of Oxford, Alabama. Actually played for John Gross in high school as a junior when he put together a 2,000-yard rushing season at Oxford High School. Near side, Melvin Ray with the catch. Out to the 39-yard line. That'll be a first down for the Tigers.
And I'm sure a little bit of an exhale on the Auburn sideline to see a completion, as we saw in the previous drive for Auburn offensively, ending in back-to-back miscommunications, trying to get the ball to Duke Williams in the end zone.
Johnson 7 out of 10 today throwing the football, making 8 of 11. He hits Ricardo Lewis, breaks a tackle and falls forward with a second effort into Jacksonville State territory, picks up 13 yards.
Ricardo Lewis is so physical with the football in his hands. Very difficult to get him down on the ground, and he anticipated contact as he was coming down with that catch. Still able to pick up another 4 or 5 yards.
Swing it to Lewis. It's one-man miss. Loose football. Pops out of bounds, though, and Auburn will have it right at midfield. No gain on the play. Actually called a loss of 2 on the play.
Yeah, it looked like he ended up retreating after the catch. That ball a little bit behind him. Great job. When you look at the way Jacksonville State's going to play defense, they are aggressive with their secondary. They play a lot of man. And so on these quick throws, there will always be a good bit of cushion. And that time, great job coming up in support.
Free play here for the Tigers. Johnson going up top. It'll be picked off, but that'll be coming back.
You see Jeremy Johnson, of course.
Looks like Dalton Campbell's the one who jumped off sides.
Offside, defense, number 41. A 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
Well, if you're going to take a shot, that's the time to take a shot. But last week, that wasn't necessarily the case. You could see the efficiency of Jeremy Johnson on the shorter throws. Pushing it down the field is where things got ugly. Part of it is the way they describe their offense. They're a run offense that wants to throw play action vertically down the field. And you got a guy that can throw the football like Jeremy Johnson. And the emphasis, some of the coaches, they didn't take all the blame, but they said, look, we emphasize throwing vertically in week 1. And we wonder, does that have a little bit of an impact? Of course it does. I think Jeremy Johnson probably took a little bit more artistic liberties in the passing game than they otherwise wanted.
Nice way to put it. Second down. Johnson on the run. That pass is incomplete. Looking for Melvin Ray. He drops it, so now it's third down and 7. Chris Landrum chasing him down. The former Auburn Tiger, now in his 3rd year at Jacksonville State.
Chris Landrum gave him all that he wanted, that's for sure. All over his heels and forcing him to deliver that football at top speed. A lot of times when they roll out of the pocket, you want to be able to throttle down and deliver a throw. Landrum didn't afford Jeremy Johnson that opportunity.
How about Landrum? Still has a bunch of friends over at Auburn. He even called Justin Garrett last week to congratulate him on that 82-yard fumble return for a touchdown against Louisville. Johnson throws. This time, Melvin Ray holds on. First down, Auburn. Pickup of 10. They needed 7.
Little ball handling that time. Blowing Marcus Davis through the backfield, faking the fly sweep. Jeremy Johnson tucked that football just a little bit, just for a second there on his hip. We'll know how much effect it ultimately had. The ball came out so quickly, but Melvin Ray with the conversion.
4-man front for Jacksonville State on first down and 10. Handoff. Off guard to Peyton Barber. Picks up 3.5 yards. Barber today, by the way, has now carried it 11 times for 38 yards.
Getting a lot of work. Rock Thomas back in the lineup now.
Yeah, Rock was starting to go, wait a minute.
Yeah, was that a cameo appearance or what? Do I get it back in the game?
He and Rock Thomas and Javon Robinson both banged up last week. Here is Rock. Lose a yard on that play.
That's something you don't see very often. Jeremy Johnson, I thought he was trying to audible. He came up and got under center and took the snap and then a quick flip outside. Penetration right now diffused whatever Auburn was trying to get accomplished. You don't see Auburn quarterbacks under center very often at all. Thought he was changing the play and didn't.
Here comes some pressure. Auburn tried to hit Duke Williams with it. It's incomplete. And on third down and 7, Jacksonville State holds their ground. And here comes the Auburn kicking unit.
Well, the good news for Auburn is Carlson proved that he's got tremendous range a week ago. He's getting a lot of work this time. His punting duties are no longer on his plate. Said he had a fresher leg. He might get worn out today if the offense continues to stall.
Braden Smith having to run on late. Big 71, hard to miss him. He comes on the field, but here is Daniel Carson from 49. He made from 56 last week. From the far hash, kick is on the way. Does it sneak in? It does. So the Tigers get a 27-yard field goal and now a 49-yard field goal from their sophomore from Colorado Springs, Colorado. And they lead the Gamecocks of Jacksonville State 6-3 here in the second quarter. For Eastern time, and then Kentucky and South Carolina open up conference play at 7:30 Eastern time on the SEC Network alternate channel. You can take a look at Arkansas and Toledo. That's coming up at 4. Now to find the SEC Network alternate channel, be sure to go to secnetwork.com/channel. You'll have all your answers. Daniel Carlson kicks it away. Out to the 25-yard line. Time to get an update. So let's go to the sidelines. Here's Dawn.
Well, Dave, we're not going to see defensive back Josh Holsey at least the rest of the first half. He suffered a knee injury. Doctors were examining his left knee. After the examination, he talked to Dr. Goodwit, the team doctor, and he looked a little bit frustrated, but they're going to evaluate at the half. Now, this defense a little bit frustrated. Defensive coordinator Will Muschamp spent a lot of time with his linebackers after that last series. And, since you've talked about the energy that Will Muschamp has brought to this program, it's evident. You can see it here on the sideline. You really see the respect that his players give him as a coach as he makes adjustments.
Boy, talking to him yesterday, he was bothered by a couple of plays. Overall, felt pretty good, but he felt like there was one play that they couldn't stop.
Yeah, power read. And of course, part of it was because they didn't expect it to come that often, if at all, out of a Bobby Petrino offense. But he knew this. Because there was success, they will see the power read the rest of the season.
Josh Clemens, the Kentucky transfer, his first time in the backfield. They'll run a little power read to the far side. Fumbled football. Clemens will fall on it. That'll be a loss of a couple of yards.
One of Auburn's top freshmen from the recruiting class, and Byron Cowart, number 9, a guy that they have high hopes and aspirations for, was able to get upfield quickly and diagnose that option play. Boy, does that kid have a ton of talent. He's going to make some waves in this conference this season. Played 20 snaps versus Louisville. That's a lot of plays in an opener as a true freshman.
Out of Sefner, Florida. The nation's #1 defensive player coming out of high school. Out to the 30-yard line. That'll be a gain of 10 on the play. Goff again, the tight end, makes the catch. Nick Ruffin steps up, the sophomore safety, to make the play. But now you've got a manageable 3rd down.
And Nick Ruffin out there largely because of Trey Matthews injured his shoulder versus Louisville. A big physical presence when Matthews is in the secondary, coming up and run support.
4-man rush. Jenkins going far side. Askin has got to make a play, and he does again. Gonzalez, one-on-one, makes a play in Auburn territory. 1st down, Gamecocks, a gain of 27.
This Gonzalez kid, I'm trying to decide who I'm more impressed by. Is it Eli Jenkins? Is it Ruben Gonzalez? Look at this. This is a contested throw. Tight coverage. Carlton Davis, true freshman, just doesn't get his head around in time. And another big play downfield in the passing game.
6 catches, 86 yards for Gonzalez. Jenkins hit as he throws, incomplete. Well, this is big-time play.
With the concentration. Great placement as well when you look at it. Look at Gonzalez stay with that pass all the way through. Davis, who never got his head around, but got a hand on that football. And Gonzalez, he's perfect. If the ball goes near him, he's come up with it just one time where he touched down out of bounds.
2nd down and 10. They'll hand it off to Josh Clements. He loses a football, but the Gamecocks fall on top of it. Blake Burks, the senior out of Hoover, Alabama.
That play was doomed from the get-go. Devereaux Lawrence almost took the handoff at his defensive tackle position. Watch 94 all the way upfield quickly. That's twice now on this possession where the ball's ended up on the ground. The first play out of the option. Josh Clemens, you're going to have to work on that ball security if he's going to earn the trust of the coaching staff. Tremendous talent to be sure.
Well, you wonder, Matt, if you're now in 2-down territory here. 3rd down at about 5 inside the 40. Timeout, Jacksonville State. I mean, are you going to try to pick up the 1st down here? Maybe you just want to try to get something underneath for a couple of yards.
No, it's a great point.
By AT&T, mobilizing your world.
Boy, you look inside what is the control room for college football's largest video board. Talk about a nervous group of people today. That thing had to work. There was no, well, we'll get better next time.
That's right.
It had to go. It is the largest in college. It is the 2nd largest in the country, only behind Jerry's World. Those are the dimensions. Square feet, 10,830 feet. It is massive. Only weighs 50 tons. 3rd down and 5. Jenkins rolls right, throws back to Josh Barge. Pass is caught inside the 30, close to the 25. Gain of 14. 1st down. True freshman Denson on the coverage for the Tigers.
And you see Barge there. Denson gets a little bit turned around in coverage. He comes to close, but not before Barge had already gained the yardage needed in his route. Moved the pocket. Nice time out there by John Gross to come out and get the 3rd down conversion.
Quick hitter inside again to Barge. Barge and Gonzalez, these 2 guys came in as their main targets, and coaches were talking about how steady they are, how confident they are in it, and you can see it. This offense passing game is based around those 2 guys.
Well, we've seen it. That's been the passing game. It's been Barge, and it's been Gonzalez on the other side. They've not only demonstrated that they're worthy of the targets, but great hands, good routes, and able to get behind the secondary on contested throws.
Pope in the backfield alongside quarterback Eli Jenkins. Louis Pope with the handoff. Inside the 15. Look at the numbers for these 2 guys today in Barge and Gonzalez. That's crazy. We're in the 2nd quarter.
And a lot of times it's been in man coverage, Gonzalez and Barge finding ways to come up with those catches. And we mentioned Gonzalez has got some size at 6'3".
Jenkins 14 to 19, 172 through the air.
Here we see Gonzalez at the top of your screen, number 15. Barge down here outside. Those have been the targets.
Here's Jenkins. Trying to get the corner. He's to the 10-yard line and run out of bounds. Pushed out of there by Ford. Give him about 4.5 on the run.
As we've seen, Dave, well, this is where they've had difficulty when the field condenses. Obviously, it's an extra defender for the defense on a smaller field like this. Auburn has found ways to get stops. Once the Gamecock offense gets into the red zone, last time it was 2 incompletions in a row. Now a second down play. That's where it started to derail for the Gamecocks on the previous drive.
Throwing to the end zone, hoping his guy can make a play, and he does. Josh Barge with the touchdown grab. Wow. Did he catch it?
It looks like he did from that angle. And you can see Denson hand fighting. I don't see the ball touching the grass in that angle either. And he ends up, you see his left arm, no ball, but it's the right arm where he's possessing it all the way through. We'll take another look at it.
So far, nothing shows me that that should be overturned.
Nah.
My goodness.
Well, you look at the targets, you know, it's not like Jacksonville State is spreading the football around. There's 2 guys. And you could see why it's 2 guys. You see Barge watches the ball all the way in. And Jeremiah Denson all over his back, got a hand in front of him as the ball approaches. But I haven't seen an angle that shows where the ball ever touches the turf. And I think that look only confirms it. You see his left arm would be under the football all the way through. As Denson comes over the top, looks to me like his right arm ends up possessing the football finally. But his left arm would have prevented it from ever touching the grass.
There have been a couple of plays in this drive where Jenkins has just asked his guys to go make a play for him. And they have not disappointed the junior quarterback.
Well, and under duress, this is a heck of a throw. I mean, he's putting it right where his guy can come back to this football without putting it in harm's way. And I have been really impressed with the quarterback.
After review, the ruling on the field stands, touchdown.
Will Muschamp said we were going to see some young guys in his secondary, and they're getting a lot of work already. Jeremiah Denson, we've seen Tim Irvin, Carlton Davis gave up a big pass along the far sideline. Coach Muschamp watching some of his young players going through some growing pains. And in the meantime, John Gross has got to be thrilled with the passing attack that he has in Eli Jenkins and Barge and Gonzalez out wide.
Point after is up and good. And the 6th-ranked Auburn Tigers trailing here in the second quarter to Jacksonville State 10-6 as the Gamecocks have put up 204 yards of offense. This is their last play. It was good enough for 6. And the Gamecocks are up at Jordan-Hare Stadium. The largest crowd they've ever played in front of was in 2012 down in the Swamp. 82,000 on hand that day in Gainesville. 87,000 on hand today. Largest crowd ever for a Jacksonville State football team to play in front of. And the first time they've ever met the Auburn Tigers. Big Sales out of bounds. Cage Stinnett. Go back to that touchdown, Stinch.
Well, it had some pressure. Montravius Adams does a great job of collapsing the pocket, and Eli Jenkins flushes out. And watch Barge.
Free kick out of bounds. Kicking team number 96. Ball's placed at the 35. First down.
There was no penalty on the replay. Barge working back to get open for his quarterback. And these numbers are unbelievable. When you look at it, Barge perfect now. The ball goes towards him. He's coming up with a catch, and now with a touchdown. Gonzalez, he shows only 6 receptions on 8 targets. One of those was a catch. He just narrowly missed getting his foot down in bounds in the end zone. And right now, this passing attack for Jacksonville State victimizing Auburn defensively.
Boy, a quiet Jordan-Hare Stadium. That inside handoff goes to Peyton Barber. He will pick up a couple of yards. Chris Landrum, young man we talked about from Sweetwater, Alabama, started here at Alabama. Was kind of a fullback linebacker here at Auburn. Redshirted his freshman year. Only played one game as a redshirt freshman. Realized there wasn't much playing time available for him. And said he just wanted to play ball. It was as simple as that. Transferred to Jacksonville State. Lewis falls forward, has the first down at the 48. Jalen Hill on the coverage. That'll be a gain of 10.
Nice completion. You can see it's Ricardo Lewis seems to be the mainstay, obviously, in the passing game. The target to Duke Williams on the previous drive, unable to come up with a third down conversion.
Barber takes it to the 49-yard line of Jacksonville State. Duke Williams, by the way, no catches today. Ricardo Lewis, 7 for 59. Peyton Barber on the ground, 13 carries, 44 hard-earned yards. And Johnson, 11 of 16 for 100 yards through the air for Auburn. Auburn has 145 yards of total offense to 205 for Jack State. That ball is picked off at the 40-yard line. Joel McCandless into Auburn territory, and Jacksonville State is back in business.
I'll tell you what, this is where the concerns start creeping back in. You see Jeremy Johnson, he comes off his primary, and this is one of those blind throws where you genuinely start to wonder if his vision somehow impaired, because once again, the interceptions from a week ago, they're going directly to defenders. This time, Joel McCandless, he is just dropping back from his linebacker position, and he's there all the way. Jeremy Johnson started to the left side, and when he comes back right, he's decided he's going to deliver that football. And once again, it's into harm's way. This passing attack has never gotten on the rails for Auburn this entire game, despite best efforts.
Jenkins, he's coming near side. He one-hopping incomplete. Looking for Barge. That's 4 interceptions now in a game and a half for Jeremy Johnson.
Yeah, we mentioned, during break, it's not crisp. I mean, it's one of those games where you're expecting a bounce back. You want to come out and you want to look clean in the passing game. There have been some high percentage throws, but then there have been others, especially going downfield. If it's not on the different pages with Duke Williams in the red zone, it's just a bad decision that results in interception and excellent field position for a team. You're having a hard time getting off the field.
Loose football bounces right back to Jenkins. That's the kind of first half it's been for Jacksonville State. Casanova McKenzie will get credit for the tackle.
Third time that the ball's ended up on the ground for Jacksonville State. You can see getting with Miles Jones. Eli Jenkins trying to figure out what went wrong with that exchange. Miles Jones looked like he fully anticipated Jenkins keeping hold of it. This is a big third down, Dave.
Jacksonville State's been good on thirds, Matt. 5 of 7 today. Knocked down at the line of scrimmage. Devontae Lambert got his paw up in the air and knocked it to the turf.
And again, big Montravius Adams from his defensive tackle position, collapsing the pocket right into the lap of Eli Jenkins. And Lambert able to get his hand up to bat that ball down. The defensive front, the ball's come out quickly enough. They've moved the pocket enough to kind of negate the distinct advantage that Auburn has along the line of scrimmage. But where the yards have been coming is in the perimeter game.
Rulo will attempt a 50-yard field goal. It was long enough, but missed it wide left. Shocked as we are, probably as shocked as the rest of the country to see this score. FCS Jacksonville State up by 4 over Gus Malzahn. Gus said all the things this week that you expect a coach to say. We're preparing for these guys. We know how good they are. Or maybe his team didn't buy into it.
And it's hard. That's a tough sell sometimes. That was a quality victory in week 1. It's easy to sag, and we're seeing that for sure. Jacksonville State taking advantage of it.
All right, let's go back to that interception. What did you see from Jeremy Johnson?
Well, what we end up seeing is that watch McCandless at his linebacker position. He's just going to drop. And when Jeremy Johnson, he's going to look to go left. Duke Williams' side immediately comes right back to Cameron Petway. And it's as if he never saw McCandless at his linebacking position, just dropping back right underneath that pass. And once again, thrown directly to the team in a different jersey.
The part about this that's scary, as Johnson keeps it here, trying to find a little bit of running room, gets it to the 40. The part about the interceptions, if you even go back to last week, is they're all very similar. It's like it's such a obvious bad throw. It makes you go, what is he seeing? You know what I mean?
It is. It's almost as if he isn't seeing. It's like he's deciding, and when he comes off his first read, he's coming right back. If he comes off his first read, he's predetermined what he's going to next. Last week, there was at least pressure in that instance, though. It's hard. It's one of those, much like the first pick versus Louisville, where you're going, I'm not real sure what the quarterback of Auburn is seeing.
Last week, 11 of 21, 1 TD, 3 picks. This week, he's had some missed throws again.
They just have never been in sync. And up until the interception, it has looked as if they were just a little bit out of sorts, not quite on the same page. But that interception is reminiscent of at least the first one that we saw last week, and there hasn't been any big plays out of this offense. Jacksonville State defensively has done an excellent job of keeping Auburn's offense hemmed up.
Throws that one into the second row of the bench. Ricardo Lewis, the intended target. Boy, Jeremy Johnson just shaking his head. I think he's kind of wondering what's going on.
You know, he kind of slapped his hands after that one. There's nowhere to look but at yourself and in the mirror on that one, because Ricardo Lewis, unless he grows about 6 inches, there's no chance he comes down with that throw. Jeremy Johnson, I think, looks, from a confidence standpoint, a little bit hesitant, might be a little bit rattled at this point.
Longest play of the day for this Auburn offense has been 13 yards. Phillips to punt. Under 2 minutes to go here before halftime. Barge makes the catch at the 8, a 51-yard punt. Nice job by Kevin Phillips. Well, last week, the opening week, FCS teams had some good wins against FBS opponents. And you look some of the FCS wins against AP-ranked teams, which is the situation we have here. Eastern Washington took down Oregon State. James Madison beat Virginia Tech. App State, of course, the one that everybody's still talking about, took down 5th-ranked Michigan. And last week, there were 4 FCS teams that beat FBS teams in the opening weekend of the season.
I think we got a quality one here right now. I mean, I think we're starting to see why maybe Auburn's never scheduled Jacksonville State before. John Gross, you know, he gets it. Had a lot of success as a high school coach. He had this team ready to go. We talked to him earlier in the week, and you know, they're looking to come out and compete, and they have definitely done that. So far, really dominated Auburn on both sides of the ball.
Here's Jenkins. He will keep it. And a flag comes in late. Possibly a personal foul against Auburn as Jenkins slid forward, feet forward.
Personal foul, targeting number 24 of the defense. That previous play is under review.
Blake Countess, the senior transfer from Michigan.
I'll tell you what, if he's out of this game, that's going to be a big blow. And it does look to me like it's obvious that Jenkins has given himself up. I don't know about the targeting part. That's tough, especially when a guy is sliding. You know, there's a couple different elements to that targeting. If you strike with the crown of your helmet, that is a targeting penalty. Or if you go to anything above the neck areas, the head or neck area, it doesn't have to be your helmet as a defender. And in this one, you can see Jenkins giving himself up.
I mean, there is definitely...
from a technical standpoint, Dave, it is the head or neck area. The difficulty is, of course, when a guy is sliding, he's changing that location of where his head's going to be pretty drastically. The question is, do they see enough to where, textbook, I don't know how they overturn it, frankly, but the application of the rule is a real challenge in a scenario like that one. Regardless, Countess comes out of the game. We've already mentioned the youth that Auburn has. Josh Holsey out with a knee injury.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed of targeting. It's a 15-yard penalty. Number 24 is disqualified. First down.
Oh, man, I agree with you in that's one of those that's by the letter of the law. I mean, I think that is targeting, but as a football play, that to me doesn't seem like a targeting violation.
Yeah, exactly. If anything, at first I would have said that, he's giving himself up. It's when a quarterback is giving himself up, there's no contact not necessary at that point. Targeting right there, it is by the letter of the law correctly applied, but I don't think that was the intention.
Well, how about this? Holsey's out with an injury.
Right.
First, we never saw Trey Matthews in a uniform today. He's out with an injury. Now you lose Blake Countess for a targeting ejection. All three guys, key components in that Auburn secondary. A lot of youth on the field for the Tigers. Here goes Pope. He'll get it to the 33-yard line, a gain of 4. Now the clock's at 1:22 and moving. Jacksonville State does have 2 timeouts. Actually, both teams with a couple of timeouts left before the break.
And right now you've got 2 true freshmen. Tim Irvin out there in the secondary. Jeremiah Denson, this youth having to step up, some of it due to injury. And so far, Jacksonville State has demonstrated they can adroitly execute their passing game.
On second down, here comes some pressure. Jenkins going up top, hoping his guy Ruben Gonzalez can make a play on the football. Incomplete. Jonathan Jones on the coverage.
And again, another time where they're challenging downfield using some of the size that they have at receiver rather. That time, Auburn able to get the pressure, something that they haven't done with that much frequency.
A little surprised they threw there, trying with 49 seconds to go. If you don't convert here, you're gonna give Auburn at least a chance to do something. Play clock at 2. And I think John Gross wanted a timeout. He's barking about the play clock, perhaps.
Before the play, timeout, Jacksonville State. It's their second. It's 30 seconds. Please reset the game clock to 49 seconds. Thank you.
You see Coach Gross. I don't know if he wanted a timeout earlier and it wasn't acknowledged, but it looked to me, I'm with you, Dave, like he was gesturing towards the play clock, but you're right on that previous play. If you don't convert, you're giving the ball back, you're giving it to an offense that, albeit that has struggled the entire first half. And if you get a decent punt off, it's somewhat challenging field position, but you're giving them time to work with. An incompletion, preserving more time on the clock than you probably otherwise would want.
Boy, if you're an Auburn fan, you're just kind of scratching your head right now like, what in the world are we doing?
It has not looked good, really, for either phase, offense or defense. We forced one punt in this game versus Jack State.
Third down. Jenkins gets a little pressure, scoots out of trouble, has the first down and then some to the 45-yard line.
We mentioned that Jenkins, we talked about his throwing. He hasn't run the ball often, but when he has, he's been opportunistic. You see, jukes Chris Frost. Frost was coming on pressure. Eli Jenkins does a good job of juking and getting underneath him and then upfield and out of bounds. And Jacksonville State now nearing midfield, 40 seconds, and to have a timeout in their pocket. The entire field is in play.
Four-man rush. Jenkins near side. Incomplete. 36 seconds to go. Jenkins today, numbers now are 15 of 24, 182 with a touchdown. He has also rushed the ball 8 times for 16 yards.
It's been a tremendous first half for the quarterback at Jacksonville State. You can't ask for anything more. We talked about it at the top. They're going to put more on his shoulders. He has been more than capable of bearing that. They've been good throws. In fact, you're looking at the other sideline, confident that the Auburn offense would have been thrilled had their quarterback performed as equally as well as Eli Jenkins has in this game.
Boy, nowhere to go for Tromaine Pope. I think the good news there for Jacksonville State is he stays in bounds and the clock continues to move. I know only one timeout left, but I think Jacksonville State's a team. Let's just get
That's right. At this point, that's exactly right, Dave. They take a shot. They wanted to stop the clock on the previous throw with a boundary throw. But now he stays in bounds. You get to go into the locker room with a 4-point lead in the first matchup versus the big school down the road. That locker room now, John Gross's challenge is keeping his team head in it and recognize that they got 2 more quarters of play. And Gus Malzahn, he's got a lot of work to do with his troops.
Jacksonville State outgains Auburn 225 to 152. Let's go down to Dawn.
Well, Coach, Jacksonville State able to get things going through the air. What adjustments do you make defensively?
Well, we got to do a better job on offense. I think that's the big thing. We hadn't hit a lick yet on offense. Defensively, we just got to get off the field on third downs.
Jeremy Johnson throws a pick there on that one of those last series before the half. What did you see on that one?
Well, we just had a misread. I think they went cover 2, and the Will linebacker got underneath the 7 cut.
Thanks, Coach.
Well, he's calm right now, but I have a feeling that demeanor might change in a few moments. A shocking score after 30 minutes. Jacksonville State up by miles away, leading it by 6 over Auburn here at Jordan-Hare Stadium as you are watching SEC Network football presented by Allstate. Let's take a look at our Playing with Style brought to you by Belk. And for that, how about a couple of receivers at half? Certainly felt very comfortable here in Auburn.
Yeah, it's been the Jacksonville State passing game that has really surprised not only us in the booth, but it looks like Auburn defenders on the field. Ruben Gonzalez and Josh Barnes on the other end of Eli Jenkins' passes. They've already eclipsed their output from a week ago, gotten in the end zone, and have really undone the efforts of Auburn defensively. Hadn't gotten a lot of help from their counterparts on the Auburn offense, but the Jacksonville State Gamecocks, they've been chugging along, and you can see the passing numbers. UTC did a much better job last week over the course of 4 quarters, only 113 yards and a touchdown. They got 182 in 2 quarters of play versus Auburn, and it's a young secondary that the offense is going to face as they get this opening possession here in the second half. Due to injury, a lot of true freshmen in the backfield for Auburn.
So a knee taken by Holloman, and out to the 25-yard line. Let's go downstairs to Dawn Davenport. Dawn?
Well, hey, Dave, I just talked to head coach John Gross. Poise. That is the word that he used to describe quarterback Eli Jenkins. He said Eli Jenkins and Ruben Gonzalez are just hitting on all cylinders at this point. He said they knew they had to throw the ball coming in, so that was a part of the game plan. Now, defensively, he emphasized to us getting off the field on third down coming into this one. He said that's what they've been able to do, and they have to continue to do that to keep Auburn out of the end zone in the second half. Now, he also pointed out, guys, hey, that half is over. It does not matter. We got another half to play.
First down and 10 from the 25. Thanks, Dawn. Jenkins rolling. Lofts it up in the air. A little too much juice on that one. Josh Barge, the intended target. And Dawn was talking about third downs, and that's a huge story of this game. When you look at Jacksonville State, 6 out of 9 on third downs. Auburn just 3 out of 7.
And they haven't been easy third downs. These aren't third and shorts that they're converting, although they did have one of those. It's 3rd and 6+, so it's somewhat manageable, but not the ideal scenario coming into the game, and yet they've converted well.
Tromaine Pope, the senior out of Anniston, Alabama, picks up 5.5, maybe 6. Casanova McKenzie with another stop. That'll be number 8 for Casanova. He's had a pressure, a forced fumble, 2 tackles behind the line, a sack today. He is, Will Muschamp just smiled when he brought his name up in the lead.
Yeah, really excited about what he's able to do. I'll tell you what, though, you wouldn't think this. This is a big possession, and this Auburn defense looking to get what you wouldn't think would be a key stop for their confidence here in the second half.
Third down, let's call it 4. Another outstanding catch on the near sideline by Josh Barge. That'll be a first down after the 15-yard pickup right in front of Will Muschamp.
Another third down, and you can see it. There's been enough push inside, but working against a true freshman, Carlton Davis. We've mentioned the injuries that have decimated this Auburn secondary. They wanted to be able to get youth some playing time, but they didn't want to be forced into service. And right now, Jacksonville State humming in the passing game.
9 catches for Josh Barge. Big hit at the 45-yard line, but that grab picks up 8. Dalton Screws. Jonathan Ford on the coverage for Auburn.
And with each completion, the confidence builds. Because you look at an FCS team, you're playing up. You're up 4 going into half, and you wonder when does it start to leak. But right now, you take your opening possession, convert a third, and now you're on the plus side of the football field early in the opening possession of that second half.
Handoff goes to Pope. He'll have enough for the first down at the 41-yard line. A gain of 4 on the play. Casanova McKenzie with another stop.
You know, Dave, if Auburn's going to win this football game, the veteran presence and the distinct advantage is in the front seven. It's at the linebackers and at the line position. That's where they have to win. The last thing that they need to allow happen is for the ground game to start picking up just a little bit of steam. They've done a pretty good job so far of stopping the Jack State ground game. The last thing they want is a multifaceted offense where the passing offense is playing well.
Fresh set of downs for the Gamecocks. We'll stay with it on the ground and go to Pope again. He'll pick up 3. Montravius Adams, first man there. That ball will move inside the 40 down to the 37.5-yard line. And another opportunity here to take some time off the clock. I mean, it's not just the fact that they're moving the ball substantial distances on their drives, but they're chewing up a ton of clock.
They are. And incidentally, you know, those first couple of possessions were 60-plus yard drives, getting them downfield. They ran 42 offensive plays in the first half. This Auburn defense, they've been out on the football field a lot. Part of that is a function of their ineptitude on offense so far.
That's a deep. Good protection near side. That one was batted in the air. Barge was the intended target. Carlton Davis on the coverage. Barge almost looked like he tried to bat it up to himself.
Yeah, a little tip drill, one-man tip drill, and you can see Carlton Davis, 18. He better play through until that ball's on the ground. You know, he seemed to relax at the back end of this. And Carlton Davis already had a completion on to convert the third down to extend this drive. A true freshman, Josh Barge is their go-to guy, an all-conference performer at their level, the junior, veteran presence.
Third down and 6. Standing around. I think there was a delay of game. The referee, the back judge, just now put the flag out of his belt. I was looking at it.
It's a 5-yard penalty. It's third down.
Wow.
That flag came out well after the play.
Yeah, like it must have gotten hung in his belt or something on the way out of his pocket. Wow, I didn't hear a whistle. I didn't hear a whistle right there, but you wonder, you know, Tremaine Pope just stops on his route, which allowed the interception to happen. I didn't hear it in that playback. It seemed like it was a little bit late. Regardless, big save with that penalty against Jack State.
Play clock again. Down inside 5 seconds. Lofts it up, far side, and incomplete. Almost a remarkable grab by Gonzalez. And now it's 4th down.
And every time the ball's in the air, just about every fan in attendance that's not wearing red is holding their breath. Look at that ball, almost juggled back to Ruben Gonzalez, even using his shins to keep it in play. Jonathan Jones, and we've seen him complete passes. Just with that very matchup on a similar route, same type of throw, that time an incompletion.
zone. That'll be a touchback out to the 20-yard line. Jacksonville State has to punt on their, including LSU and Mississippi State. For the Tigers, it's their season opener after last week's debacle, if you will. Mother Nature just wouldn't let them play ball, but I'm having my eyes on Oklahoma and Tennessee.
Yeah, a lot to see there. Tennessee gave up 430-plus passing yards to Bowling Green. You wonder, what's Baker Mayfield able to do with Oklahoma Sooners coming in there? A strong run game as well.
Here's Jeremy Johnson. He'll keep it. And this Auburn offense, sluggish in the first half. This is a team that their longest play from scrimmage, a big play offense, their longest play from scrimmage was 13 yards.
Yeah, they've been vacant on offense, really. There's been very little to speak of other than Ricardo Lewis at the receiver position. They haven't established their ground game, only 52 rushing yards in the first half. That's not what you anticipate out of this offensive production.
Johnson throws. It's Lewis at the 30, falls forward to the 32. That'll be a first down. Gain of 11 on the play. Jermaine Huff on the coverage.
And that's where the production really has come from. Largely is Ricardo Lewis at his receiver position, but it's been shorter to intermediate throws that have worked.
Brock Thomas on the carry, gain of a couple. Thomas in that first half, 3 carries at 7 yards. Boy, I mean, you start looking at those numbers in the first half. Ricardo Lewis had 7 catches, of course has 1 here in the second half, so 8 total grabs now for Lewis.
And you look at right now, just not a lot of places to go on the ground. We got bodies where you've got Rock Thomas having to jump over piles in the offensive backfield. Keep in mind, Auburn has shuffled that offensive front in their lineup.
Thomas hit behind the line. Darius Jackson, the first man there. Joel McCandless, who has an interception today, also there for the Gamecocks of Jacksonville State.
Yeah, and third down has been awful for Auburn in this game. They were only 3 of 7 in the first half. And it's 3rd and 5+. And again, the ground game doing them no favors offensively.
7 of 17 in a game and a half on third downs for this Auburn offense. I don't know that I've heard Jordan-Hare Stadium this quiet in a while.
I want to turn on the speakers on the big board just to get some excitement.
Over the middle, pass is caught. Duke Williams finally with a grab.
Towards the middle of the field, too, which is something that we haven't seen Auburn do. We haven't seen Jeremy Johnson throw, and this is something that historically, that's where they exploit coverage, is down the middle.
After the first down, quick snap as usual for Auburn. Nothing to do on that run play. Maybe a yard for Rock Thomas.
Randy Robinson was forced into a little bit more snaps than they otherwise would have thought without Devontae Sigler up there. You can't say enough. We've talked about the passing game for Jacksonville State, but right now their defense, especially on the ground, the run defense for Jack State has done an excellent job of keeping Auburn in front of them, and if nothing else, with negligible gains in their rushing attack.
Johnson going deep down the field. Pass Thomas. Touchdown Auburn. 51 yards.
And there's some cheers in Jordan-Hare, but there's a lot of folks that I think probably saw that they got away with a big hold at left tackle. Sean Coleman versus LaMichael Fanning, the Alabama transfer, almost had another big vertical pass called back. No call, and Auburn able to get in the end zone for the big play that we haven't seen but have been waiting for.
Point after, up and good. And Auburn back out in front now.
Well, they talk about it. They can be dangerous out of the backfield. Jeremy Johnson, nice thrown football. He was afforded great.
What play it was.
All right, so I want you to take a look. Michael Fanning right down here at the bottom of your screen, pre-snap. They're going to end up going to Rock Thomas, who's lined up in the offensive backfield. But watch big Sean Coleman. Wow. I tell you what, if that's not a hold, I don't know what one is. And there's a clear line of sight. Take nothing away from the route. We know the danger of the wheel route coming out of that Auburn offensive backfield. Rock Thomas does a great job of hauling in a well-thrown ball. Auburn got away with that one.
They'll take it. Boy, did they need it. Boy, nifty return. Loose football. Who's got it? Boy, Holloman got stuck at the 32-yard line trying to keep his momentum alive. There's an Auburn player down on the field.
Looks like Casanova McKenzie was shaken up on that cover.
Boy, Jacksonville State comes up with the football, but let's see what happened on that return.
You see him spinning. It looked to me like Jonathan Jones, or it's either Jonathan Jones or Carlton Davis that forces the fumble as he was spinning back around. And I think it's Jones. You see he get his helmet right on his elbow. Holloman, I don't know if his arm went dead. Either way, that ball comes shooting out, and he knows that he's lucky that they maintained possession. It was Jones that came up with the stick. Jack State able to come back up with, I think Casanova McKenzie got kicked. A.J. Barge was able to come up. Josh Barge's brother. We've heard called his name quite a bit. And A.J. Barge comes up with a big play to maintain possession for the Gamecocks.
Keep an eye on number 8 in blue. Oh, it looks like he took a helmet right to the chest area.
Right, Timmy Irvin. They might have to throw a flag for targeting. This is, look at him pop. Ooh, that's friendly fire. Tim Irvin caught his fellow defensive teammate right there in the chest. Probably got the wind knocked out of him a little bit. He looks like he's okay. Whenever you see the trainers laughing a little bit, it's usually a good sign. And I'll tell you what, Auburn has seen enough of guys walk off injured. Some guys that never took the field today. The last thing they need is, as thin as they are at linebackers, to have Casanova McKenzie go down for any long period of time.
McKenzie second on the team last year with 92 stops, having a nice game today. Casanova with 9 tackles and a couple behind the line, including a sack. 8:18 to go, third quarter. Auburn up by 3. Jacksonville State looking at a first down and 10 from the 32-yard line. Jenkins will keep it. Dancing around. Coming back near side. And gets down on the turf after he picks up 5. Boy, ran a long way to pick up 5 yards, but he'll take it, second down and 5.
I'll tell you what, the quarterback for Jack State has made some things happen. Working the option. Second time we've seen this option look, and then outrunning pursuit. Auburn this time wisely jumping over a sliding quarterback. They've already lost Blake Countess due to a targeting penalty on a previous slide by Eli Jenkins.
Quick slant. Pass is caught. Good enough for a first down. Boy, their timing routes have been really solid today. Gain of 6.
Easy completion. You know, you got about a 15-yard cushion working against Tim Irvin. Take what the defense is giving you. And once again, Ruben Gonzalez, this time from the slot. We've seen him challenge the Auburn secondary out wide along the boundary. That time, though, underneath. And that's an easy first down conversion versus the true freshman.
First down and 10 for the Gamecocks. That pass is caught by Dalton Screws. He's inside Auburn territory down to the 46-yard line. Another first down. Tim Irvin on the coverage. That'll be 11 more yards.
We got Tim Irvin. He's playing the slot receiver. 10 yards off the football. Dalton Screws, and on the previous one, Ruben Gonzalez. They're just going to right underneath it. Quick hitter. Those are easy completions for Eli Jenkins. And again, the Gamecocks are moving.
Miles Jones. They fake it to him, and Jenkins keeps it. He's got another first down after a 12-yard pickup.
Well, there hadn't been a lot of running room on the inside. But you know what this play is? It's a power read. And this is what Louisville was gashing Auburn with in the first week, and this time quarterback keeps on the inside. This is a play that Auburn has seen. It's a staple for what they do and see in practice from their own offense, and they're certainly going to see quite a bit of it this year with this type of productivity.
Jenkins keeps it. The flag comes in at the end of that play after a 1-yard pickup. Chris Frost in there to make a play for the Tigers. Looks like it might be going against Jacksonville State on one of those interior.
Holding offense, number 69. It's a 10-yard penalty. Will remain first down.
Justin Lee, the left tackle.
I'll tell you what, there haven't been a lot of bright spots defensively, but I will say from a penetration standpoint, they've gotten a lot out of number 1 in this game. Montravius Adams has been upfield quickly and disruptive a lot of this game. That time nearly taking the handoff. And he's the one that forced that holding penalty versus Justin Lee as he got upfield quickly.
Eli Jenkins rolling right. Another flag comes in. Pass is caught by Screws. That could be another hold against the Gamecocks.
Holding offense, number 72. 10-yard penalty, remains first down.
Blake Burks.
Big Blake Burks, you see him right here at the right guard. This is a mismatch, obviously. This is something that Will Muschamp likes to do. He had Devontae Lambert, and he ends up working on Devereaux Lawrence. That's an easy call. And the white hat standing right there. We saw a similar play for the Auburn touchdown. The flag stayed in the pocket. At that time, you're making it easy, especially when that jersey gets pulled like that and the defender gets turned.
So it's first down and 30. Oh, run the football. Back into Auburn territory. Pope carries it. Kenyon on that tackle, the sophomore out of Jacksonville, Florida. Pope, of course, had that huge game last week for Jacksonville State with 173 yards on the ground. Jacksonville State ranked as high as number 2 last year in the FCS top 25 poll, lost in the FCS playoffs in the quarterfinals. They opened their season with a loss against Michigan State a year ago. Big hole for Jenkins again. He's back to the original line of scrimmage, setting up a 3rd down and 10. Trey Williams drags him down.
3 guesses as to what play this is. It's a power read. And, it's a play that makes it very easy to make a defensive end or edge player wrong. Will Muschamp mentioned that that's what got him last week versus Louisville. He knew they were going to see it this game. He said they blew about 3 different calls last week versus Louisville, and now twice on this drive, they've gotten gashed with a power read to QB keep.
Jenkins going down the middle into double coverage. It is intercepted. Yes, touchback. Auburn will have the football. Jonathan Ford.
Now the one place that Jacksonville State hasn't had success throwing the football downfield is towards the middle of the secondary. Their big plays have been down along the boundary and man coverage. This time, there's time for the safety to get over and help, working against Nick Ruffin initially, and Jonathan Ford.
Just scoreboard that they could talk about. For more on that story, let's go to Dawn Davenport.
Boys, I got to tell you, I can skip the gym today. There's no elevator up here. It is not for the faint of heart. This board is high. When you get up here, you see how massive it really is. But I have the best view in the house. Pre-game, we actually came up here and took a look at it. So I want you to see what I get to see up here. Now, this scoreboard, 10,830 square feet. You can fit 25 cars across this scoreboard. That's how big it is. $13.9 million project. Jay Jacobs telling us that it's something he wanted to do for the fans of Auburn. Their old scoreboard was in bad shape, so it was certainly time for a new one. A random fact I have for you guys, too. The Leaning Tower of Pisa, if you put this scoreboard straight up next to it, it's taller than the Leaning Tower of Pisa. How about that?
Let's see, now that's a special nugget. Here comes a special player, Ricardo Lewis, as he turns the corner, gets a couple of yards. And it was a tense day for not only the video board technicians, but athletic director Jay Jacobs, making sure all that stuff was working because they have been promoting this for the past 6 months, but so far so good.
Yeah, the resolution's unbelievable. I mean, it really is. You talk about the best seat in the house, maybe at home. This is like being in the stadium and in your living room at the same time.
Which, for the most part, on weekends, this is my living room.
That's right.
Flag comes into the backfield as Peyton Barber gets it out near the 40-yard line. But where that flag sits, I think
Holding
what's coming.
offense, number 71, 10-yard penalty, remains second down.
That's Braden Smith. You'll see him right tackle, played right guard last week. And it's going to be against LaMichael Fanning, who arguably forced a holding call earlier. This time, hey, look, whenever the jersey's getting pulled and the guy's trying to disengage, you got to let go. You're allowed to hold the jersey as long as it's inside the shoulder pads, but you got to turn loose. That time, Braden Smith doesn't do it. And we've seen, 3 holding penalties now. Bang, bang, bang,
Since
and one no call.
Right, since the one they missed, we have seen 3 in a row here. Drop it off. Plenty of room. Out to the 35-yard line goes Rock Thomas. 22 yards on that pickup and a first down.
Well, we hadn't seen much out of the running backs in this game as rushers, but Rock Thomas now twice has done a great job as a receiver. 1 touchdown catch, and now a big screen pass to get him out of the hole at first.
Good start on that opening play. 5 yards, second down and 5. Tavius Oden with his 4th tackle. Rock Thomas looks like he's hurt that shoulder again.
Yeah, that right arm just kind of hanging. I don't know if it was a little bit of a stinger right there at the tail end. Sometimes you get that neck gets bent, and that arm will go dead on you. But right now, Rock Thomas contributing the most outside of Ricardo Lewis.
Here comes Peyton Barber. It looked like one Gamecock defender had a chance to grab him in the backfield. Couldn't do it. And then Barber makes him pay with 9 yards.
Like big Alan Carson, number 95 for Jacksonville State. And what the Gamecocks are doing versus the pulling guards, rather than taking them on up high, they're cutting them and creating a pile in the backfield. And they're forcing the Auburn running backs to jump over a bunch of pile of bodies in their own backfield.
Johnson to throw. Over Lewis's head. Jeremy Johnson now. 15 of 23, 197 with a touchdown and a pick. What do you think the conversation was with Gus Malzahn, Rhett Lashley, and quarterback Jeremy Johnson at halftime?
Yeah, I think you go one of 2 ways. You worry about the guy's confidence, so do you prop him up or do you jack him up? I mean, there's one of 2 things that happen. I would be surprised if Jeremy Johnson didn't get an earful at halftime. You got to protect that football, although they haven't been very productive elsewhere in their offense.
Johnson has some time now. He'll be flushed out of the pocket, looking for a little bit of room, and he'll pick up maybe a yard. McCandless, the sophomore out of Birmingham, pushes him out of bounds. Gain of about 4. Now it's 3rd down, and let's call it 6.
And this is an offense that wants to take shots. And Jack State knew that coming in. They talked about 2 or 3 times a quarter, you're going to get challenged downfield. We've only seen one where they've connected, and it was for the touchdown to Rock Thomas. The other piece of it is the middle portion of the field where typically Auburn can exploit defenses. Part of that is because of their play action, pulls up and holds linebackers so well.
Duke Williams is popped. Ball comes free. They're going to say incomplete. Boy, Duke Williams is down and a defender down as well. That looks like Dawson Wells, 47. Boy, they met face mask to face mask.
So much so that for a second there, I thought that the face masks kind of got hung together, but you can see both players injured. And it was bang, bang. As that ball was coming in, Dawson Wells was in fine position to take a shot at Duke Williams and deny the reception.
what, Duke still on the ground.
He took a shot, and it almost looked like his own knee knocked the ball out. As you can hear some pleas for a targeting call. As Dawson Wells came over from his linebacker position. Good to see Wells is already up and gone. Duke Williams sitting up. And it's his own knee that knocks it loose, and that's not a targeting penalty. Not only is it his right shoulder that caught Duke Williams right in the chest, no head or neck area, no crown of the helmet, good no call by the officials, but also good to see both players up and able to walk off the field under their own power. But again, that's 2 third down targets going to Duke Williams that he's been incapable of coming up with the catch. Now everybody's been out of shape thinking that it should have been targeting. Duke Williams knees the football out of his own hands and looked clear that the right shoulder of Dawson Wells is what caused the forcible contact, and it was to the chest of Duke Williams. Yeah, there's no question to me that angle almost looks like he comes in with his head, but it's his right shoulder that causes the contact.
So on 4th down, Kevin Phillips. Fair catch taken by Josh Barge at the 16-yard line. Of course, the crowd a little animated because one of their own was thrown out. Blake Countess earlier today for targeting back in the first half. On a play that, quite frankly, he should still be playing in the game. Maybe a personal foul, late hit, defenseless player, but as a targeting rule, maybe that might have been a little excessive upon further review, but nonetheless, Blake not with the team here in the second half.
Yeah, the difference in the two, and I agree with you, it's the application of the rule, letter of the rule, it was applicable. This time, though, it looked bad, and so everyone thinks targeting, but it didn't meet any of the qualifications for that to have been the penalty.
On 1st down, they will swing it to Barge. Has a couple of blockers over there, and he'll pick up 6 yards. Jonathan Jones forces him out of bounds. Gain of 7. Were it
not for the interception, an ill-advised throw on that previous possession. Jacksonville State driving the football, now a wide receiver screen. Tell you what, maybe close to being late, an official gets taken out as well.
Jay Vines, long-time official here in the Southeastern Conference. Used to be a referee back in the day. He's up and moving, and so is Josh Clements. He is up and moving quite well. 1st down at the 40-yard line. Here's some tempo now from Jacksonville State after an 18-yard pickup.
And again, this is what we talked about earlier. They don't want to allow Jack State to get the ground game going with the success they've had passing.
Clements, the transfer from Kentucky, with a big run. Fouls it up with 4. We have got one here that's I don't think many people saw coming. It is a 3-point game after 3 quarters of play at Jordan-Hare Stadium, week 2 of the college football season. Stay with us right here on the SEC Network. Badgers face off at 3 o'clock Eastern exclusively right here on the SEC ESPN Network, and it's streaming live at home or on the go on the Watch ESPN app. 15 more minutes to play at Jordan-Hare Stadium. It is a 13-10 ball game. The 6th-ranked Auburn Tigers in a real fight in their home opener. Jacksonville State has it 2nd down and 5. They'll hand it to Clements. He'll have a 1st down and on inside Auburn territory at the 47-yard line. McKenzie back on the field to make the tackle. That'll be a pickup of 7.
They hadn't figured it out yet. This is something that clearly the defense is going to have trouble with. Certainly for the balance of this game, it seems, is once again, it's repetitively the same issue in the ground game. Jack State able to exploit the inability to stop the Reed run game.
Good throw. Nice catch by Barge. High throw. He'll pick up 5. Barge now with 11 catches, a new career high for him. His previous career high was 9.
I'll tell you, Dave, you talk about how many plays Auburn might run. Look how many plays this Auburn defense has already been on the field. 62 snaps in this game with a quarter to play.
There's his other target. Ruben Gonzalez makes a diving catch. Had to kind of twist and turn and maybe had a cleat stick in the ground in the process. He'll hobble off.
Easy pickings for the offense, and we've seen them do this. If you get him easy access and a free release, just a quick slant, bam, get the ball out of your hands. Eli Jenkins knows right off the play fake where he wants to go. If that ball is in front of him, Gonzalez picks up another 10 yards. Instead, he has to torque to catch it and may have injured himself in the process.
Gonzalez 102 yards receiving. Barge 115 yards, and Jacksonville State has to take a timeout, and all the coaches up in arms as the Gamecocks couldn't get their formation set. They'll take the timeout. Intimidated at all. Their first ever meeting with the Auburn Tigers. Actually scheduled to play a couple of years ago, but that game never unfolded. So now they meet. John Gross in his second year as the head coach, third year at Jacksonville State. Ruben Gonzalez back on the field. He limped off a few plays ago. So we are set to play. A shocking tally on the big board. Auburn only up 3 here in the fourth quarter. Jenkins will keep it, dances around. He will get it near the 25-yard line, give him 4.
Probably the best job Auburn has done in the last 4 or 5 tries on the power read. That time, keeping Eli Jenkins in front of him. Tim Irvin and Jonathan Ford combining, coming up in their secondary positions to make that tackle.
Jenkins, 13 carries, 41 yards on the ground. Through the air, he is 22 out of 35, 245. They'll fake the speed sweep. Pocket breaks down. Dump it off underneath. Pass caught by Goffigan. He has the first down. He was left wide open and picks up 13 yards down to the 11.
Goffigan hadn't got a ton of targets, but this time he came in big. You see him fake the fly sweep, nowhere to go. Montravius Adams flushing Jenkins out of the pocket again, but wide open and unaccounted for is Goffigan. Poise was the word John Gross used from his quarterback. There's no better way to describe his play.
Not rattled one time today. First down and 10 inside the 15-yard line. Here comes some heat. To the corner of the end zone. Incomplete. You know, there's a reason when you start thinking about John Gross and his offense. When he was offensive coordinator his first year back in 2013, this Jacksonville State offense set 49 school records, and they set over a dozen OVC records in his first years. And last year, as we talked about earlier, they had 8 games of over 600 yards of offense a year ago.
It was prolific production, to say the least. You can see why he earned Coach of the Year honors in the OVC a season ago.
Second down. Jenkins keeps it. Nowhere to go. Slips it inside the 10-yard line. Auburn played that one well. Chris Frost along with Casanova McKenzie on the play.
Both times Jenkins with the pull, both times on the power read. Doing a good job by Auburn, does a good job of bottling up the quarterback for Jack State, who has been the hub of a very prolific offensive output. Now a third down, and we've seen Auburn deny Jacksonville State on previous trips, but they've also found a way to get in the end zone as well.
7 of 12 on third downs. Just inside the 10-yard line. They got to get it inside the 2. Comes near side. Barge can't break the tackle. Jonathan Ford. Gain of a yard. It's 4th down. Here comes the kicking unit.
Jonathan Ford came up on the power read earlier to make the tackle on Eli Jenkins, and this time a critical tackle in space and a good job of getting Josh Barge on the ground to force the field goal attempt. 9 tackles and a pick for Jonathan Ford in this game. Probably the bright spot of the Auburn defense.
26-yarder near hash. Splits the uprights. And we are tied at 13.
Presented by Allstate, proud supporters of college football. Are you in good hands?
Well, if you're ever in the area for an Auburn football game, be sure to check out Football Fans and Feathers, a program that allows some fans to get up close with the Raptors here at Auburn. They get to see the Eagles, Hawks, and other birds of prey take flight. Of course, before the game, a great moment as the Eagles swarms around Jordan-Hare Stadium.
Got any Gamecocks in that exhibit?
Didn't see any. No. Here goes Jonathan Ford to the 40, to the 45-yard line. And outstanding field position now for the Tigers after a 46-yard return.
Well, so far, if Auburn ends up getting a victory in a tie game, Jonathan Ford's your player of the game. Nice setup, getting his offense a short field to work with. He came up with a pick to stop the opening drive by Jacksonville State here in the second half. Got 9+ tackles. He's been a big contributor. The back end of a defense is playing a lot of young faces, and that's been getting gashed all game long.
First down and 10. Aaron Johnson tripped up in the backfield. Darius Miller, the senior out of Fort Valley, Georgia.
And Darius Miller's flying up her. This is a lateral, incidentally. Kerryon Johnson doesn't catch that football. It's live and a fumble. Darius Miller comes flying up, quick diagnosis, unaccounted for, and makes a tackle in space.
Second down and 11. Four-man rush over the middle. It's picked off. Dawson Wells, the senior, steps in front of the football, and Jacksonville State has it. Oh, my goodness.
There's something wrong with Jeremy Johnson and his ability to read coverages. And I think it's nothing more complicated than that. Either that or it comes back to pre-decision. He's trying to get the ball to Duke Williams. He's got Jason Smith to his right, and he's on Duke all the way. And once again, we saw it earlier in the first half. We saw it versus Louisville. The first pick was in cover 2. And Joel McCandless just dropped right underneath the throw. This time Dawson Wells. And where Auburn typically exploits defenses on some of these inside patterns in the middle of their secondary, they're hurting themselves.
Another big run from Troymaine Pope, the senior out of Anniston, Alabama. Brought down by Davis, but he picks up 12 yards. The clock under 10 minutes to go.
Meanwhile, Jacksonville State, this guy right here, their head coach, John Gross, he's rolling sevens. He's just figuring it out. And if you start running the football, Troymaine Pope picking up big yards on the ground, and it seems like everything's going the Gamecocks' way. Certainly momentum on their side.
Pope cuts it back. Might have lost a yard. Could have lost a lot more than that. It'll be second down and 11. Boy, there are 87,000 folks that showed up today. About 84,000 of those for the Tigers of Auburn, and they are quiet.
The one thing they've expected to see that they got to see was a big screen. Other than that, everything's been a surprise. Nobody here was expecting to see almost 3 quarters and change of a tight ball game. Certainly not a tie ball game in the second half.
Pass is incomplete. Looking for Marcus Merrill. You know, there aren't a lot of lines on FCS versus FBS opponents, but I found a couple out there. And this was at a 40 to 45 point spread.
Wow.
Coming into this game.
Yeah, they're not going to cover. And you see it there. Yeah. There's 53 straight times where FCS has gone down to it versus what's thought to be a top 10 team. You'd be hard-pressed to argue that Auburn is a top 10 team, certainly not playing like one in this one, whereas if you're an FCS level team, you better be ready for Jacksonville State.
Third down and 11. Jenkins, little comeback route, Pass is caught around the 35-yard line, but that's going to be a couple of yards shy of the first down. A gain of 9, and now what do you do?
The one thing I think all game long that Josh Bard maybe has made a mistake. He didn't run this route deep enough. It's just a stop. And you see Eli Jenkins, well, he let him back upfield a little too much. But he's short, and they're going to go for it here.
4th down and a long 2. And a timeout taken. Boy, I look over at 12, Josh Barge. He saw something he liked.
Yep.
His arms are out like, Coach, I had it. Oh. It's in a real battle. And no matter what happens here on this 4th down, Matt, obviously Jeremy Johnson is going to have to make some plays for you somewhere. And his confidence has to be rattled right now.
Well, not only that, but how about the confidence in the ground game as well? Because it's not as if, look, we've seen 2 picks from Jeremy Johnson in this game. We saw 3 in week 1. So what do? You start running the football, right? Except the ground game has never gotten on track today either for Auburn. Right now, offensively, they've had no answers.
Let's go down to Dawn.
Matt and Dave, at the half, you talked about the coaching staff finding the balance in yelling and showing frustration with Jeremy Johnson or encouraging him. Well, head coach Gus Malzahn's going with the latter. He told him, that one's over, let it go, we move on.
Thanks, Donna. We're moving on to a 4th down and 2.5. Eli Jenkins, the junior out of Birmingham, looks to the sidelines, and here we go. He'll keep it. Falls forward. Does he have enough? I think he does. This is going to be really close. And remember, you can challenge a spot.
Dave, we debated whether or not we should talk about the power read, thinking that it was a pass play. You know what they ran right here? They ran a power read. When you look at Eli Jenkins, he got it. I think he got it. He did get it. And you know what? Why not? Why would you run another play? We've seen really Auburn defend that play relatively well twice. And here in the second half, Will Muschamp and his troops, they've had difficulty really the entire game. He knew he would see this play. You had to know that they worked on it quite a bit in practice. And on a big 4th down, the Gamecocks run a power read to convert and get a first.
From the 33-yard line. Play fake to Pope over the middle. Pass caught by Josh Barge. He falls to the 25-yard line. Barge now with another catch. Give him on the day, what is that, 14 catches? That is a school record, breaking Joey Hamilton's mark back in 1999.
Eli Jenkins throwing right in the face of pressure. Casanova McKenzie coming on the blitz. This defense for Auburn not only tired, but looks flat at this point. And Jacksonville in a tie ball game, Jacksonville State rather, knocking on the door of the red zone.
Pope with a little stutter step. He'll have the first down at the 20-yard line. Montravius Adams, first man there, along with Jonathan Ford. And now you're looking at the clock as it will move at 7:20. Whew, man, it's just, at no way could you have dreamed this would have been the scenario.
Well, you know, and then the first half, you're talking passing game. Really here in the second half, it's been the ability for Jacksonville State, the ability to run the football, convert a big 4th down on the ground.
Jenkins keeps it, scoots around the corner, gets to the 15. Pope got swallowed up in the backfield by a couple of Tigers, but he didn't have the football.
I'll tell you what makes a read really easy for a quarterback is if the defensive tackle is already tackling who the guy you'd hand it off to. Montravius Adams looks like Nick Fairley versus Oregon in the national championship game. Instead, It's a tie ball game versus an FCS opponent. But look at Eli Jenkins outrun Devontae Lambert and able to pick up about 5 yards.
Boy, Casanova McKenzie on his way off the field again. Remember, he got lit up on a punt return, had to leave for a few plays, came back in, now limps off. He has 12 tackles, a sack, a couple of tackles behind the line for this young man who has fought through some injuries to get back on the field.
Well, the way that Jacksonville State is running the ball on the ground, you lose some size because now number 30, Trey Williams, comes in. He gives up about 10 pounds to Casanova McKenzie.
On second down, Jenkins will keep it again. He gets it close to the 11. That'll be a yard shy of the line to make. Here's Adams with another play. Boy, tell you what, number 1 in blue has been all over the field today.
He has, and it hasn't really mattered, amazingly.
Yeah.
Because truth is, as long as they're running that read concept and Eli Jenkins finding ways to pull the ball, you know, Montravius Adams has gotten pressure in the pass rush. Eli Jenkins hasn't flinched in the face of it.
3rd and short. Here goes Pope down to the 5-yard line. It is 1st and goal, Jacksonville State.
And that's just inside drill. That's 9 on 7. We're going to run the football downhill. Tremaine Pope, who's had his moments, it's largely been Eli Jenkins on keepers. And right now, Jacksonville State's front taking control of the line of scrimmage.
Here's Pope, scoots it to the outside. He will walk it in. Touchdown. Gamecocks. They have the lead in the 4th quarter.
Look at John Gross. You think he's having fun? You know, this team came out, they played loose all game long. Sometimes, you know, players, they take on the countenance and the personality of their head coach. Eli Jenkins, he's been cold this whole game, nice and cool. And the play calling, John Gross has been on fire in this one.
.446 yards of offense for Jacksonville State today. Monterulo with the point after. It is up and good. Are you kidding me? 20-13. What another drive. I mean, they have done it time and time again. The Gamecocks on the road, up a touchdown, and it's getting late. 5-yard touchdown run from Tremaine Pope, a senior out of Anniston, Alabama. What a drive by Jacksonville State. 169 yards on the ground, 277 through the air. And a fair catch called for back at the 15-yard line. Not exactly a heads-up play.
Well, we've seen the same play a lot, same concept. It's the power read. And what they're doing is they're making the defensive end, the edge player, wrong. So if he closes, you hand it off and it's wide. If the defensive end widens, then you've got Eli Jenkins keeping it underneath. It's how they converted a 4th down on that touchdown scoring drive in the previous possession. And they've hurt Auburn with it all game.
Pass caught by Duke Williams. That's about a 9-yard pickup. Out to the 25-yard line. Jermaine Huff on the coverage.
Showing some confidence. First play, come right out, throw the football. Part of that may be a function of the ineptitude in the ground game.
Here goes Peyton Barber, who got the start at tailback today. He'll pick up 4 yards. This Auburn offense, when you look at the numbers, 283 total yards, 77 on the ground, 206 through the air. It has not been pretty for this offense today.
It's amazing. 78 rushing yards in this game.
1st down and 10. Big hole off the left side for Barber. He's to the 45, out to the 47-yard line. A 21-yard pickup. Brandon Bender with his 5th tackle.
You know, Cameron Petway had the fair catch. Probably not a great idea. That time leading Peyton Barber up into the hole on a power. Probably the best one we've seen all game.
Another good one by Barber. He's to the outside, down to the 32-yard line.
Make that the second best run we've seen all game. Same play, came right back to it. And this is what was expected out of Auburn on the ground all game long. We hadn't seen it. Avery Young, the right tackle, has been out. They've jockeyed around. Just now the ground game get going.
Barber again with the carry, this time only a couple of yards. He'll fall forward for about 4.5 yards. Clock closing in on 4:15 to play. Jeremy Johnson today, 16 of 26, 206, a TD and 2 picks.
Yeah, and right now, full house backfield. Those past couple of plays, they opened this drive with a pass from Jeremy Johnson, but this is what happened in the second half versus Louisville.
Throws to Lewis. He's hit the moment he makes the catch at the 26-yard line, only 2 yards. Rashad Byers, good play from his corner spot.
You know, the passes to the sidelines haven't been the difficulty. You know, we hadn't had pressure. It's been the ability to read coverage when he's throwing either towards the middle of the defense or further downfield. There's more bodies. It's more cluttered. It's easier for him to make these throws from a read standpoint if he's throwing to the sideline.
Here's Barber to the 20, stood up there and dropped. That is good enough for the first down.
I was saying was, you know, Peyton Barber ended up with 24 carries versus Louisville. They took the ball out of Jeremy Johnson's hands largely. That's what they'd look for him to do right now. Barber eclipsing the 100-yard mark. Now Rock Thomas in there to spell him.
Rock, he's hit at the 15. Loses the football. Jacksonville State says they have it. Let's wait a minute. Oh boy.
Cameron Petway got up, looked like he was disappointed. Wow! Rock Thomas comes in for Peyton Barber. He's fresh. He's made a couple of big plays as a receiver, but as a ball carrier, coughs it up. Auburn was driving. That was to tie the game if they score. Instead, Randy Robinson, a true freshman, rakes this football out, or comes up with it rather. And that ball's dancing around on the dirt.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 23 of Jacksonville State. That'll be half the distance to the goal. It will be first down, Jacksonville State.
Well, you could have thrown that flag on any number of white jerseys as they're jumping up and down on the field, but one more look. Big hit right at the 15-yard line, and the strip from Brandon Bender puts the football on the turf.
It's definitely out, you know, no question there. And it was Jawan Lee that stood Rock Thomas up. It was going to be a nice run. He squirted forward. But then Brandon Bender came in there and just rakes the football right out. We got 3 minutes to play. Jacksonville State has rushed the football in the second half for 126 yards on the ground. And right now, we really haven't seen Auburn capable of stopping.
I think we might take another look at this, the way our officials are moving around. Yeah, here comes our referee to take one more second so that our replay booth can just confirm that was a fumble. I mean, this is obviously a game-changing type of play. And, yeah, I mean, I think we've seen it time and time again now. But it's one of those, let's make sure we get this one right before we move on. And, folks, I mean, this would have to go down if this score stands as one of the greatest upsets in college football. There is no doubt about it. You think about the App State upset at Michigan and the ripple that caused throughout the world of college football. This would be as big as that one was for sure. Michigan was ranked 5th in the country that year.
And you saw there, good look at it. It's just, there's no question. His knees are up. There's nothing establishing him down. The ball clearly loose. And
the ruling on the field is confirmed of a fumble. It is first down, Jacksonville State.
53 straight games where we've seen FCS opponents incapable of beating the top 10. But you look at these, Michigan at 5 is really the next comparable one. Beat Vatech with 13. Eastern Washington, another strong FCS program. And now Jacksonville State with the opportunity to get on that list.
Auburn does have 3 timeouts. Jacksonville State, after that penalty, backed up just outside the 5. They will keep it on the ground up the middle and get it to the 10-yard line. And Auburn wants one of those timeouts. And Stinch, Jacksonville State has just flat out outplayed Auburn today.
They have. This isn't big plays. It's not busted coverages. It's not wacky special teams occurrences. They've outplayed Auburn this entire game, and the score reflects it.
And what a day it's been for that young man, the junior out of Birmingham, Eli Jenkins, the quarterback. They said he was just steady Eddie back there in the pocket, and he has just been a steady Eddie all day.
Hey, he's been more than steady Eddie, man. And he's been unbelievable. This guy's been lights out. He's pretty loose, too. Look at him. You think that these guys think that they don't belong in this situation? They might have at one point, not anymore with 3 minutes to play, up 7.
Jenkins, hand it off, inside run again. Out to the 12, maybe the 13-yard line.
Over 70 snaps now for Jacksonville State on offense. That means the Auburn defense out there gassed after playing 81. Auburn takes another timeout. But you're seeing Jacksonville State, they've been getting pushed. They've been getting pushed the last couple of drives. And right now, you're looking, Auburn's using those timeouts. If Jacksonville State keeps this on the ground, it's not going to matter. They're going to continue to milk clock. You got one more timeout if you're Auburn. And right now, your front line's getting bounced off the line of scrimmage.
Hey, well, let's get an update. Peter, you back in the studio.
We are keeping tabs of that one, and we're also keeping tabs of Ole Miss. The Rebels showing up against Fresno State. Now they know to be on alert. Back to you guys down at the Plains.
Hugh Freeze and Gus Malzahn, such good friends. Coach Freeze probably shocked at this one like everybody else is when you look at the scores. Jacksonville State on 3rd down. Let's call it 4.5.
They've been lights out on 3rd down all game long as Eli Jenkins makes the adjustments at the line.
There's the handoff. That will be well shy of the 1st down. They needed to get out to the 17-yard line. Only a yard on the play, and now you're looking at 4th down, and Auburn looks like they're going to let the clock run and save that final timeout.
In our coach's call, when we were talking with John Gross, one of his concerns was their coverage units. We hadn't had to see that a lot in this game. When you look at it, other than kickoff coverage, they haven't been punting it back to Auburn. In fact, they've been moving the ball. If it hadn't been missed field goals or a turnover, we haven't seen the punting unit much today. But here's a chance for Auburn in their return game to give their offense a scoring opportunity.
Marcus Davis stands back at the 45. This punt is sent out of bounds. A horrible punt from Hamish McGinnis.
Wow.
Where are they going to spot it? He's still walking at the 31-yard line. A 17-yard punt, and what an awful time for that.
Couldn't have happened at a worse time. Auburn able to preserve 2 minutes on the clock with the timeouts, the 3rd down stop. They were going to have good field position likely if that punt is kicked well. They still probably have the ball close to midfield, but a 17-yarder off a shank. And now it's a 31-yard field for an offense that has struggled all game long with turnovers and an inability to get the ground game going. They get the ball. The Gamecocks got the ball back off of a fumble by Rock Thomas. Can Auburn get in the end zone to tie it or potentially take the lead?
Johnson hits his fullback, Chandler Cox, the true freshman, a gain of 6. Clock moving now, 148, 147.
Even that, you can see Coach Malzahn go. He wants to play run.
Hand off to Barber. He has room to the 20. Spins off one defender. Inside the 15, down to the 13-yard line. A tough run between the tackles gives him the first down. Clock stops for a moment. 1:32 to play.
The head coach for Auburn Malzahn said, run it, run it, run it. Get over the ball, snap it quickly. Barber with a physical run.
Throws near side. Here's Lewis. Dancing around to the 10. Stays in bounds.
A great pursuit by the Gamecock defense. You see Ricardo Lewis trying to make the first would-be tackler miss, and the pursuit and cover down left him with nowhere to run. Clock ticking now close to a minute. Auburn throttling back, can't afford to get this wrong on second down. They can still pick up a first.
Pressure comes. Incomplete. Looking for Lewis on the far side. Clock will stop with 45 seconds, and now it's third down.
That ball, even if completed, unless Ricardo Lewis breaks a tackle, he walks in the end zone. Otherwise, there wasn't off coverage, there was no bail. That ball was thrown well upfield of where Lewis was expecting it. The same part of the field we've seen where Jeremy Johnson on a different page from his receiver. It was to Duke Williams in the first half, that time to Ricardo Lewis.
Johnson to the end zone. Up high! Touchdown! Melvin Ray!
Melvin Ray, 6'3", 215 pounds. And he used every bit of it to go up, come down with a big touchdown catch for his quarterback. Jeremy Johnson has struggled today. Look at Melvin Ray go up over Jermaine Huff. Jacksonville State had to have liked that matchup. Huff's their best cover guy, an All-American. Melvin Ray with a great catch.
For the tie. Daniel Carlson is good. 39 seconds to go, and we are tied at 20.
And it was the passing game that got him in the end zone. Peyton Barber had some physical runs. And Jeremy Johnson with the touchdown toss to Melvin Ray does a great job of leaping and finding the end zone, guiding his feet down inbounds. Student section hasn't had a lot to cheer for in this game. We've seen some big plays. Jeremy Johnson finally comes through. 2 touchdown passes, but it hadn't been pretty.
Rhett Lashley, the offensive coordinator, told us yesterday at our meetings about Melvin Ray. He says that guy is just reliable, was the word he used.
And where did they go?
They went to him with 39 seconds left, and he comes up with the really good catch, twisting and turning, making sure he got his feet in bounds, and we are tied at 20. And there's Rhett Lashley talking to Jeremy Johnson.
You know, they got Jeremy Johnson going on the first play of this drive. And I think that was important, especially given what just happened. You get the turnover, get the ball back. I think Jeremy Johnson, you know, he could be a pretty fragile mental state right now. The fact that he got it in the end zone could be big. As it is, 39 seconds left on the clock in a tie game.
You know, you don't want to, you look back on plays, but the unsportsmanlike penalty really backed Jacksonville State up on their previous, after the fumble recovery, and then they had the bad punt.
That's a great point.
And this kick's going to go out of bounds. Oh, my.
That's the third kickoff we've seen to go out of bounds. Just forfeiting yardage when it happens. Jack State twice, and now Daniel Carlson.
Jack.
Free kick out of bounds. Number 98 of the kicking team. Ball's placed at the 35-yard line. First down.
So 1 timeout left, 39 seconds. Barge with 14 catches, 132 yards. Gonzalez, 8 catches, 101 yards. But it's really been the run game here in the second half for Jacksonville State that's allowed them to have the lead for most part of this fourth quarter.
And possess the ball. You know, that's
right.
Another piece of it. You know, it's part of it is, you know, offensive cracks at it. Jonathan Ford got an interception to get the ball back for his offense.
Well, they're just going to take a knee. They're going to play for OT.
It's been a battle all game long. Auburn, they were battling malaise, but surely in the second half they realized this is a fight. You can't chalk it up to an FCS opponent off a big win in week one after the first half that Auburn had. And it's been a fight ever since, and Jacksonville State has largely won it.
Well, the clock will run to double zeros here, actually triple zeros, in about 7 seconds, and we will head to overtime. Just an unreal story here at Jordan-Hare Stadium today in the Auburn Tigers home opener. And that's where we're heading. It's overtime at Auburn, Jacksonville State, and the 6th-ranked Tigers. But first, let's go to the studio. Peter Burns.
All right, thanks, guys. Here with Chris Dory and Tony Barnhart. Chris, we got Ole Miss taking on Fresno State. Of course, everyone has to be on upset alert now.
Yeah, everybody's aware, obviously, about what's going on. But Chad Kelly, a big game last week. Let's see if he can follow it up with another strong performance today.
That'll be on ESPN2 at the bottom of the hour. The game coming up on here, the SEC Network. Nick Saban.
Yeah, it's all about getting this team ready to play Ole Miss next week. Anxious to see how much Jake Coker plays. Does he play more than one quarterback?
You look at what Alabama's done. Derrick Henry, 147 yards, 3 touchdowns the last time he came out. And then on the SEC Network, the alternate channel, Bielema, the Toledo Rockets.
Love Arkansas. Love what they were able to do. Brandon Allen, another big ball game last week. Let's see if he can put it up in the air this week.
Now let's head back to Auburn for a little overtime.
OT it is, Peter. 2020 our score. John Gross in his, I guess, 3rd season overall with this Jacksonville State team. The first year as an offensive coordinator, then took over for Bill Clark, who went to UAB. Talking to Jay Vines, our head linesman. Our overtime rules. We'll start from the 25-yard line. And you must go for the 2-point conversion, starting with that 3rd OT. But obviously you can go earlier if you so choose.
If you're Jack State, of course you want to play for overtime. The last time they upset an FBS opponent was an overtime victory, And it took a couple of stanzas.
Well, this was the last time it occurred. Go back to 2010, September 4th. Jacksonville State on the road at Vaught Hemingway Stadium. They would get the late touchdown. Marquez Ivory connects with Alan Bonner, and then they went for the 2-point conversion. That would send it to overtime. Now in the 2nd OT. This time it's Cody Blanchard who connects with Kevin Cooper on 4th and 15 in the back of the end zone. They went for the 2-point conversion, and they upset the Rebels 49-48.
Pretty remarkable when you think about it, and who would have thought coming into this game that would be relevant versus Auburn? It's like anything else. You come into it thinking every team always has a chance. Jacksonville State has done it before. That was a long time ago. It was against a different type of squad in Ole Miss.
All right, let me ask you this question. We'll start with Jacksonville State offensively. How is that power read football play from the 25 and in if you're Jacksonville State? That's been their money play here in the second half.
Well, the challenge is whenever you're on that short field is that it's condensed space, right? So you're not nearly as worried. You don't have as much field to defend, so you can borrow more from the secondary. You've seen some play action off of that look, but it allows the defenders to come up and make some tackles. We've seen Ford come up, as well as Tim Irvin, come up and make tackles on that power read. But Auburn's going to get the ball first.
Okay. 25-yard line for the Tigers. We just saw some good plays from about the 30-yard line and in. Where did they go offensively to try to produce some points?
Well, what was interesting was in that last 2 possessions, really, Peyton Barber rips off a couple of nice runs. Before the Rock Thomas fumble, Auburn was starting to get the ground game going, and it was with their power scheme as well where they had some success. So you look at it, the difference has been Jacksonville State has had more success in the passing game, not necessarily in this area of the field, but you go back to the Ruben Gonzalez throw that was narrowly out of bounds. Otherwise, it's been deeper passes for Auburn. Marcus Melvin Ray rather came down with that touchdown grab. But if you had to throw the football in this game, I would like Jacksonville State's chances, given the way Auburn has executed their passing attack.
Short huddle and the quick turn on 1st down and 10 from the 25, and here we go. They'll give it to the freshman, Kieran Johnson. He's to the 15-yard line. That'll be close to the 1st down, maybe just a bit shy. They'll spot it just outside the 15-yard line.
And how about the confidence they have in Kieran Johnson? Well, here you are in a tight game in overtime, and who gets the first carry? It isn't Peyton Barber, and it isn't Rock Thomas. It's your true freshman.
Last year's Alabama Mr. Football. Now Barber will take it to get the 1st down, and he does so to the 13-yard line. Darius Jackson meets him in the hole, but a 2-yard pickup good enough to move the chains.
Part of it is, too, we've seen in the run game Eli Jenkins hurt Auburn defensively. Jeremy Johnson, he hasn't pulled it on the read and hurt Jacksonville State. That defense, if they stop respecting it, then they pick up a defender in the box. They don't have to worry about the QB keep as much.
Barber again. Not much happening on that play. Landrum steps in there. Landrum, the former Auburn Tiger.
You can see Jacksonville State collapsing down on Peyton Barber on the inside runs. Not a lot of room. But again, we hadn't seen the pull at the quarterback position. Nick Marshall was lethal in that regard. And you're basically forced to start looking at this passing attack. You start looking at 2nd and long. Still could pick up the 1st.
Johnson was out of trouble and finally dropped just inside the 15. McCandless with his 5th tackle for Jacksonville State. Now it's 3rd down.
Jacksonville State has been so impressive in their pursuit. When you look at them, even when they're flushed out, Jeremy Johnson, a tremendous athlete in his own right, able to get the quarterback down in a big 3rd. Do you trust if you don't convert? Do you go for it on 4th and just try to pick up yards?
They'll swing it to Barber. He's got some room, cuts it back. Still on his feet, inside the 5, 1st and goal, Auburn. Oh, what a big time catch and run by Peyton Barber.
Melvin Ray had a big touchdown grab, but in the passing game, it's been the running backs that have made the big plays. That time it was Peyton Barber. Seen Rock Thomas on a touchdown catch and a screen, and Auburn knocking on the door off a 3rd down conversion.
Here's Barber. Touchdown, Auburn.
Running behind the left side of Auburn's offensive line, Sean Coleman. Really, he's the veteran up front for them. Austin Golson made the move to center. Braden Smith's playing right tackle for Avery Young, who's out. Devontae Danzy, who's the backup left guards at right guard. That time, able to get in the end zone on the ground.
Carlson's point after is up and good. And now Jacksonville State knows what they have to do, and that is stick it in the end zone.
Peyton Barber, this is as good as a handoff. Out of the backfield. Forces 3 missed tackles to get down towards the goal line. And then he's rewarded for his efforts. Extends over the line to gain. You see him, he's jacked up. And this Auburn offense is fired up in an overtime stanza.
Boy, the disappointment on John Gross's face, knowing his guy, matter of fact, it was 26, Santavius Oden, had a chance to drop Barber short of the 1st down, and then all kinds of questions come into play. Do you kick the field goal? Do you go for it? But instead, hindsight doesn't matter on that. 1st and 10 for the Gamecocks. They'll go for the far hash, 25-yard line. 3 receivers near side. Pope in the backfield. They'll get the handoff. He stood up after about a yard, maybe 2, by the front wall of the Tigers.
You see the defensive front for Auburn. We talked about it earlier. If Auburn's going to win this game, that front's going to have to assert itself. It didn't. For most of the second half, Jacksonville State moved the ball running right now on a 25-yard football field. This is where the playmakers of the Auburn defense has to assert itself versus an offensive front that has done an excellent job all game.
Jenkins passes incomplete. Oh, a little bit more to the inside, and that may have been a touchdown. He was looking for Gonzalez.
That's twice, Dave, where Jenkins is trying to find Gonzalez on that in that same end zone, in that same spot. And that is narrowly out of bounds, just like the previous one was.
3rd down and 8 coming up. Jacksonville State will take a timeout. Boy, Jenkins looks like he's in some pain over there with that right hand.
I don't recall him hitting anything. Sometimes on the throwing hand, when they follow through, if there's pressure, you'll see quarterbacks bang a finger or a hand on a helmet. But they're definitely working on his throwing hand. He doesn't look too concerned. He's getting juiced up, hydrating on what has been an active game for him as a runner and a passer. You see him as he rolls to the right, looking for Gonzalez. I don't know what he would have done. You see him? I think he's holding his hand right there with his left hand. I don't know what he could have done or how he could have injured it.
You know, it could be one of those things, you know, on some of these handoffs, fake handoffs, where he stick it in the belly, holding on. He may have gotten caught on somebody's jersey pad, something. Who knows? But here's the situation. It's 3rd down and 8 as the ball sits at the 23-yard line. Jenkins has had a huge day here at Jordan-Hare Stadium.
And with Auburn scoring on their possession, obviously it's, you know, that you still try to go for it. You don't have to convert here on the 3rd. You can get it to 4th and short.
Going up top. Flag is thrown. Pass was intended for Barge, who was slow to get up in the end zone. Davis on the coverage.
A lot of hand fighting on that one, working against the true freshman Carlton Davis.
Pass interference, defense, number 18. It's a 15-yard penalty, automatic 1st down.
They've liked this throw all day. They're singled up on the sideline, allow your playmaker to come back in. I don't know, they look like they're both fighting for position. I think that's a no call right there. As it is, automatic 1st down.
What a break for Jacksonville State. 1st down and goal inside the 10. Ball will sit at the 8-yard line. Here goes Pope. He is stood up at the 5.
A little bit of indecision. You know, that read has hurt Auburn so badly all game, and Pope is kind of muddled in the middle of the offensive front. But now, there's a chance for Jacksonville State just to grind it in towards the end zone.
They'll go with Pope again. Stood up at the 5 again. So now it's 3rd down and goal. Now my question is, you've run that play twice. Are you keeping it with Jenkins around the edge?
We've seen him do it. We've seen him do it on a key 4th down. This time the line to gain is the goal line. And obviously you've got 2 snaps to get it into the end zone.
Jenkins flush, scrambling. A lot of room to the near side. He's dropped back at the 20. Casanova McKenzie with a game of his career.
The one thing you can't do right there is to take a sack for loss. As poised as Eli Jenkins has been all game long, this is a throwaway. Montravius Adams again with the pressure. We've seen Jenkins all game find ways to make a completion, throw it away, and get a fourth down near the goal line.
Here it is, folks, your ball game right here, right now. Incomplete. That is your ball game. The pass was caught, but out of bounds as we take another look.
It would have been, even if he came down inbounds, he'd already left the field to play, hadn't established himself back in bounds. Well defended. It's an up for grabs throw, 50-50 ball. It's still completed. Bard still comes down with the completion, and Auburn escapes with a victory.
Yeah, it would go down. It would have gone down as one of the greatest upsets in college football. Instead, it goes down as a win for Auburn, 27-20, and maybe back in November, if Auburn continues to roll, but they got to make some improvements. This game may be forgotten for what it was, but it was a scare for the Auburn faithful today. Jacksonville State, for the most part today, outplayed the 6th-ranked team in the country.
Jacksonville State and their quarterback in Eli Jenkins played a tremendous football game. The one play that undid their hopes for this upset, this 3rd and goal, you take a sack, which forced that ill-advised throw, results in a completion out of bounds. John Gross has got to be thrilled with the way his team fought, but he's got to be also tremendously disappointed of what slipped away from what the Gamecocks could have done here.
They're going to look back at that penalty, that unsportsmanlike penalty that backed him up. They ended up having to punt. It was a short punt, gave Auburn great field position. Well, let's go downstairs, check in with Dawn.
Yeah, here with head coach Gus Malzahn. Coach, you needed extra time, but your defense comes up with a big stop in overtime. Take me through that last stop and what worked well for them.
Well, I think the big play was the sack, on the scramble right there, and of course we made a play at the end. But give those guys credit. We didn't play our best, but they had something to do with it. We got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of things to clean up.
We talked about the learning process from week 1 into week 2 prior to this game. What did you learn about your team here today?
Well, we faced major adversity, and we found a way to win. We didn't play our best, obviously. Like I said, we got to get some things cleaned up, but we're 2-0, and that's the positive, and we'll move on to next week.
Next week, it doesn't get any easier on the road at LSU. Those things that you're mentioning that need to be cleaned up, what are they?
Well, there's a lot of things. We're going to play a good team on the road, but this group will rebound. We have a lot of winners over here, and we'll be ready next week.
Coach, congratulations.
Thank you.
Guys.
Oh, boy. I don't think he saw this one coming when he woke up today. Christy, his wife, coming over to give him a hug. Yeah, I know she didn't see it coming today. Take a look at today's Capital One Cup impact performance, and Peyton Barber came up big. Their run game was stalled until they gave it to Peyton late. 23 carries, 124 yards. Of course, last week had a 24-carry, 115-yard day. Great job by Peyton. A thriller on the Plains. Auburn wins it 27-20. We'll come back to Auburn for more, but first, let's get it to Peter Burns in the studio.